Welcome back, people. It is episode 8 of season 4 of the Taxi Squad podcast. It is currently Wednesday, the 21st. You'll be hearing this Thursday, the 22nd of February. This is a very big episode for us. We have our first interview of a former professional athlete. Shout out to Ian Gardeck, Crystal Lake King, 847 King, now a Scottsdale King. No big. We also have strange and unusual topics to get into today, and they do not disappoint. We will also break down MLB free agency and where are these guys going, and also just some other sports to talk about. It's the Taxi Squad podcast.
Come on, everybody, celebrate. The Taxi Squad is here today. So lose the blues, kick back and relax for now. They talk about sports and stupid stuff. They're probably wrong and it might get rough. So welcome back. It's the Taxi Squad. Yeah.
Vince, how the hell are you?
I'm great, dude. I'm great. I'm absolutely giddy about this interview. Just listened it through again. This is a great interview, everybody. Get excited. Happy February. My dad's birthday's tomorrow. Well, in 2 days. So it's exciting all around, dude. It's exciting all around.
Happy birthday to Papa Glav, has
To
the
the
best name
patriarch.
on the planet.
Facts.
Just saying.
Also, Mike, in case anybody's
Yeah,
wondering.
his dad's name is Mike. Shout out to Papa Glav. Great man. Happy birthday. That's awesome, man. You guys got anything fun planned? Anything new or
Yeah,
exciting? on your
we're
side?
doing
Yeah?
we're doing a little brunch situation on Saturday. Whole fam's gonna be there.
Nice.
It'll be good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy. Who doesn't love a good brunch, right? You know,
Oh,
brunch is like the perfect excuse to cure a hangover because usually you're drinking something. So if you went a little heavy on Saturday night, you go do brunch on a Sunday.
yeah, but
Now, if you
Bloody
do-
Marys though. Ugh.
Oh, I'm not. You could just drink Prosecco
Yeah.
for
that's what I
breakfast, and
prefer.
it's totally acceptable. And just a orange juice. I don't
Yeah.
need a lot of orange juice.
Yeah.
Or a very close second is a great sea breeze cocktail. And usually a sea breeze or an ocean breeze can be any combination of pineapple juice, orange juice, and vodka or
Ooh.
gin, whatever you do prefer. I'm big when I'm on a cruise, I go tequila,
Ooh.
orange juice, cranberry juice. And that's enough to get your day started, grease the wheel proper enough to make you feel good.
Okay.
And then usually if you keep going at those for a good 2 hours, you are shit-faced by
I
noon.
was gonna say that's a zesty ass time. I feel like
I
after
mean,
that, I'd be like, I'm going.
Hey, you never know. When they start the dance competition on the cruise line,
Yeah.
this guy might just be shaking some
Oh,
fins.
you
All I'm
watch
saying.
you watch Chicago Mike throw some ass. You don't
You-
see any other ass the same way, buddy. I'll
You
tell
could
ya.
see Chicago Mike throw all of this lack of ass
Woo!
on a cruise ship near you.
Yeah.
just
Washboard
saying.
ass. Washboard ass.
Washboard
I don't know
ass.
if you want that.
Don't know if you want this washboard ass in your life. One lady does, and she's quite lucky. Shout out to my wife.
Shout out to your wife.
Shout out to my wife. Well, that's good, man. I'm happy to hear it. I've
Yeah.
been in a whole other state today. So I was in Dallas for 2 days, and
That's sick.
now I'm back. Yeah, I was doing corporate mic stuff.
Oh, I thought
their
you just went
Chicago
there to
mic.
roast cowboys.
Yeah, no, I was just going to local ranches and being like, fucking,
Fuck
you know. It's just like, sweet boots, asshole.
Damn.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm with you. Hey,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I get
No,
it.
I did meet a lot of people from Texas, though, and most proper people who are from Texas just think the world is Texas.
Yeah.
And
It kind of is though.
that's
It's
not
massive.
that's not true, though.
I know.
People in Dallas think like nothing exists outside of Dallas. It's kind of funny. And then on top of that, yeah, they all like to hunt.
Yeah.
Walked into one of suppliers' offices today, and just deer heads, buck heads.
In the office.
Oh yeah, in the
Oh,
office.
sweet.
They're all about Texas, buddy.
Okay.
They're all about Texas. Not a lot of Texas fans though, which I was kind of surprised. They're all Bama fans. I was like, Bama?
Oh. Well, it depends on where you're at in Texas, right? Were you on like the eastern area
Yeah.
of Texas?
They were in Dallas. I mean, it's 2 hours
Oh,
from
yeah.
Austin.
Yeah, you think it'd be
I don't know.
Longhorn country.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. Guy was walking around with a cowboy shirt on. I apologized.
Yeah, you should have.
So, yeah, overall good time. Did corporate mic stuff. Shook some hands. Kissed some babies.
Good.
Off the airplane. Home. Ready to jam with my guy. So let's talk about some strange and unusual topics, shall we?
You got a little chummy with the guy that you and I are very familiar with, didn't you, this weekend, Mike?
Yeah. You didn't know whether to be kind to him or break his hip.
The second one is not that difficult these days.
The second one is not that difficult. But went out to dinner with my wife and our family, friends, John and Mary. John actually officiated our wedding.
He did.
Shout out to JC5. We're all out to dinner at this lovely place called Renata, which is in the Biltmore Hotel. If you'd ever like to spend $40 on a very small piece of octopus, that's where you do that.
Okay.
You're paying for a name because it's a Frank Lloyd Wright hotel.
Ooh.
It's been around since the 40s, and it's a Waldorf Astoria property. So it's
fancy.
Money, baby.
Yeah.
So we walked in. We go to dinner about halfway through our meal. After appetizers and drinks, I was like, I gotta go to the potty.
Yeah.
So I get up and I go to the potty, and I'm walking to the potty, and some gentleman walks in from outside.
Why the fuck are you calling it potty?
Because that's where you go to potty. The
went to
restroom.
I went to
there
the
you
little,
go. Better.
Little boy's room. I went to the potty.
I went to the potty.
It's like you're saying party
So-
in like a British accent or something. Went to
So
the
we're
potty.
going to the potty. It's like, wait, what are you going to a party or you got to piss? What are you?
Yes.
Either way. So go into the party, and I'm walking, and I see an older gentleman walking in with a backwards snapback on.
Backwards.
Backwards. Like a bruh. Like
Okay,
so,
how you doing?
right?
How you doing?
Like, yeah. And he's walking in, and I'm looking at him. He looked like he was a little shingati.
Okay.
Like he was like he had a couple drinks, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, explain what that means to the mass population.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he had a couple drinks, but he looked coherent enough, and he's walking. He's moving a little slow for his age.
Okay.
He's walking by me, and like I stopped dead in my tracks, and I like boom, it all clicked. I was like, "That's fucking Tony La Russa."
I know
So
that walk.
Yeah. So yeah, he walks slow and kind of triangular. So I look at him. I go, "You're Tony La Russa." He goes, "Nice to meet you, young man. I'm Tony." I said, "Tony, we miss you, man." He was like,
Honestly,
"Well, thanks,
yeah.
man." He's like, "Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that." He said, I had to step down because of health issues, and he said, "Otherwise, I'd still be there." I said, "Well, sir, I'm probably the largest White Sox fan you'll ever meet." I said, "I love my team. I just moved out to Arizona." I said, "But I plan on getting to some spring training games." He's like, "Well, I'll tell you this: we might surprise some people this year." I was like, "Really? How would you know that?" He goes, "Well, I'm advising for them right now." I said, "Of course you are." And we talked a little bit. There he is.
Yeah,
There he
look
is.
at the
The
guy.
TLR.
Look at the
There he
guy.
is. The TLR doesn't have many teeth left, but that's okay. So TLR and I start talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I think we got a really good young core. I think we're going to surprise some people this year." He goes, our pitching staff, he said, Crochet looks to be a real deal starting. I said, "Okay." And then
All right.
I said, I just don't know about Grifol. He said, "I'm telling you, Grifol is a great coach."
What is he
I was like-
supposed to say though?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I said, and I was thinking that to myself. What was he going to say? Yeah, we're really going to fucking suck this year. We're probably going to lose another 102 games. Yeah,
We are.
What-
It is
like,
gonna
what-
happen.
Yeah, it's
but-
headed that way.
Yeah.
So we started chatting just a little bit more about the team, where we're headed. I asked him specifically about Dylan Cease and what he thinks is going to happen with that. I said, is Cease getting traded? I said, I saw he showed up to training camp. I said, how does that look? He goes, "Oh, Cease looks like Cease. He looks great." He's like, "The issue with Cease is that he's a Boris client, and there's no way we're re-signing him. So there is no doubt that he'll be moved by the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Whether they move him for a package that's too good to be true, let's just hope he stays healthy enough."
Yeah.
He also called out some good young closers that could be in the mix for us this year, even though we don't have a closer right now, considering the floppy piece of shit, a.k.a. Liam Hendricks, is no longer with the team, which I'm very happy
Boston
about.
Red Sox, enjoy your time there, Liam. I love you, and you're the best.
Oh, yeah, he'll have very, very great success in Boston. They'll
I
eat
mean,
him
it's
alive after he gives up a walk-off home run on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball straight down the middle
God,
with no
such a
movement and
hater.
bases are loaded. So just saying.
Such a
All
hater.
right, I digress. So we started talking a little bit about that. I said, what are we doing for the shortstop position this year? I said, I know Nicky Lopez looks to be the guy. I said, Colson Montgomery, I said, by the way, looks to be the real deal. He said, that kid, if they don't rush him, he will be like a Corey Seager.
Yeah.
I was like, really? He said, I'm going to say that again if they don't rush him. I said, do you think he'll see the league this year? He said, I don't think he should. He said,
Okay.
I still think he needs one more year in order to develop, and then next year he's full go. So I take that as he'll be up by the All-Star break.
Yeah. I mean, Seager was his player comp. Seager was his player comp when he was coming up. So,
well, which is great. I mean, I would love nothing more to hear that. But, I mean, that was kind of the extent of the convo. I told him I'm going to be going to the spring training game Monday afternoon, which I'm stoked about. Everybody's going to be at work, but I don't have a ton going on. So I'm going to go work from a ballpark.
That's awesome.
Could be worse, right? Life is good. So with that, I told him I was going to be at the game. And he's like, oh, all right, well, we'll see you on Monday. I was like, what does that mean? And I asked him, I was like, well, could I ask for you at the game, Tony? He was like, no. And I was like, come on. I was like, damn it. I'm going to sit with TLR and watch a ball game, Brad, and break it down. But yeah, no. And I didn't have enough time to plug the pod, so I feel like an asshole. But what are you going to do? What the fuck are we going to have?
I mean,
TLR
after he
here?
listens, if he ever listens to this part of the podcast, he'd be like, yeah, I'm not going on there.
Why?
Because
Very
we're like,
nice.
he said they were going to be good, even though we're going to lose 102 games again this year, which we are.
Mean, listen, and I told him, I said, there is nothing more that I'd love to see this team win. I said, I'm sorry, I just don't have a lot of faith right now.
Yeah.
He said, I can understand why you don't. He said, but I really like Chris Getz, and I believe his vision is just. I said, okay. I really took everything out of me not to ask the question. I wanted to ask, is it true we don't have an analytics department?
Yeah. That would have been nice to know. And he would have been like, what are analytics?
What are analytics? I know baseball from 1987.
Yeah. Small ball, baby, small ball.
Small ball. Just bunting and bunting. Yeah, no. So all in all, TLR is a really nice guy. He was very approachable. Good. And I finished the conversation. I said, well, Mr. LaRusso, it was a pleasure to meet you, sir. He said, young man, my name is Tony. My father was Mr. LaRusso. He's like, it was great meeting you. We'll see you Monday. I was like, cool. Well, like, okay, I'm a TLR. And then
he
said Chris Jones, or is it Chris Young? The GM
from the Rangers?
The GM of the Texas Rangers was also at the Biltmore Hotel. So a lot of these guys are out here for winter meetings right now, and it's kicking off. So it's an exciting time to live in Arizona because all of the baseball is beginning, and the weather is just so ideal for it too.
Yeah. I get that. That's exciting, man. That's fun.
Yeah. Shout out to TLR. Shout out to Chicago White Sox. We'll see what happens. Did you also hear on a strange and unusual topic that Jerry Reinsdorf is going to the Illinois Senate in order to request $1 billion of fucking funding for a new ballpark, considering the man's a fucking billionaire as it is?
Why doesn't he just rent? Why doesn't he just rent gouge everybody again? That worked
that's
great
what they're
last
saying.
time.
They're going to try and figure out how to tax the fucking piss out of this so that they can build their ballpark. And of course, I'm not going to spend a dime of this money that I've been attaining from 1991. I'm going to threaten to move the team to Nashville, and now I'll show you. And then they always just go, okay, whatever you want, Jerry.
It's just garbage. It's such garbage, dude. He's literally a poison in this city. I understand that his ownership, he's brought 7 championships to us. Garbage. Regardless. That was done despite him. Or in spite, or whatever the terminology is. That's how that happened. I'm so... Okay. We'll see. We'll see, Jerry. We'll see how that works for you, man.
Yeah, Jerry.
In other news, though, 8 players suspended from the Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate Word. That's the other school.
Ooh.
I know. I don't know who they are, but this was a fun one. 76-72 overtime victory for Texas A&M Commerce over Incarnate Word. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. Yeah. They're in the handshake line, and then a brawl comes out.
Uh-oh.
Incarnate Word is a Catholic institution, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at it now.
Sounds quite Catholic.
Yeah, 8 players suspended, though. So for Incarnate Word, there is 1 guy for 3 games, a couple for 2. Texas A&M Commerce, 3 guys were suspended for 3 games, 1 suspended for 1 game. Don't know how they end up laying those out, but they say that they respect the decisions made by the Southland Conference, another conference I've never heard of, and they're going to honor them. They would like to thank the SLC office for handling this matter fair and efficiently. I like this. I don't care what anybody says. I like a little brawl.
The brawl, which broke out during the handshake line, lasted for more than a minute and spilled out across the floor as players and coaches from both teams attempted to stop the, in quote, melee.
Brother.
It's unclear what sparked the fight. So what sparked the fight, Vince?
That was dude. You're in the handshake line. Someone
Bitch-ass
at the end of
boy.
the line, he was just like, I ate your... No, not ate your ass. Excuse me. I
ate that booty hole clean, son.
No.
I ate that shit like Kobayashi.
I meant to say I ate your ass for lunch, I think would be the terminology. There's probably a guy that just absolutely diced somebody up. Someone got pissed. A couple hands are thrown. And you know how that escalates. Honestly, could have been Malice at the Palace if it weren't for nobody being in the stands. So,
Palace, man.
yeah, what a time. But yeah, no, I like this. We need some actual, like, and that's the thing. People say that about NBA players all the time. It's like, hey, they're all bark, no bite. This is just pure bite, baby. This is just pure.
They're biting.
And if you watch it,
they can hit. At that price point, they can hit.
Oh, yeah. They're in a circle, and it's just like, boom, boom. You just see hands flying. It's sick.
He can hit.
He
His
can.
coaches come in. No, wait. He can hit. He can hit.
It's unclear what sparked the fight. I think someone was talking shit, or someone said something that was across the line.
Did he say something about his mama? Did he bring up a mother?
I feel like there had to be a mother.
Usually, if a mama's involved, hands get thrown.
Which, agreed, and with you. But also
my mama.
Someone might have gotten mad. They said there's no place for this in college sports. And I say, wrong. There's more room for that. More brawls, please. Because I need more bite than bark, and I've gotten too much bark, not enough bite, which we'll talk about at the end of this episode as well. So,
barking and biting?
Well, the fact that some players in the NBA are too good of friends, and they don't compete with each other anymore.
Oh, yeah. No.
Which we'll get to.
Well, not to bury the lead, but we got to talk about the NBA All-Star game because it's
Yes.
the most horrific piece of shit. But you know what? It's good to see guys getting energized in the game of basketball. Usually it's a silly, nanny, bitch-ass boy game,
Yep.
and these guys aren't aggressive anymore, so it's good to see some hands thrown. Beat the fuck out of each other, will you?
Yeah. Go to the Southland Conference and bring your brass knuckles, baby, because we're fighting.
Go to Texas A&M Commerce.
Or Incarnate Word.
Let's break down this Texas A&M Commerce thing for a fact.
I know exactly what it is.
I mean, is it just like the team store and it's the players who work in the store, considering it's commerce?
No. This is the commerce branch of Texas A&M. So this is probably it's the same idea as like U of I Springfield. You ever seen that before? Or like I believe it to be, and I could be wrong, but I think this is probably Texas A&M, but it's a branch out that only does like money stuff. Maybe that's my
okay.
Or Commerce.
And
is a
they
place
have
in
their
Texas.
own basketball team. So does Texas A&M play Texas A&M Commerce? And just
No,
smoke
because
them?
these guys are not in the SEC. That's where A&M is. Yeah.
So okay, so is it like? Okay, so is it
This
like
is
Notre
Mac.
Dame?
This is like Mac.
Is it like Notre Dame and then there's St. Mary's, right?
Yeah, just about. But St. Mary's is D1 though.
Yeah. Well, this
Like,
is
this-
low
this
level
would-
D1.
Right. This would be like I don't know, Toledo maybe. This is like NIU facing like somebody where NIU would never play Alabama. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like these guys aren't
Yeah.
going to be in the round of 64 of March Madness, but I wish they were because hands would be thrown. I want that.
That's what the NBA is missing. Guys got to get in some fist fights. Anytime
Right.
guys get in fist fights now, indefinitely suspended. It's
We
like
need
what-
our Ron Artest. We actually do,
We
because
need
Isaiah
meta.
Stewart. This is another one too. Did you hear about this Isaiah
Light
Stewart
bulb.
stuff?
No, what happened to Isaiah Stewart?
Isaiah Stewart got suspended from the NBA for having a fun little time in the tunnels pregame. Isaiah Stewart punched a
Was he
guy.
smoking the pot? Oh,
No, so Drew Eubanks. I don't know what happened between them. Isaiah Stewart punched Drew Eubanks in pregame in the tunnels of the facility and got arrested. So Isaiah Stewart, and I don't know if you remember this, we went over him one time too, because he got another brawl on the court, and I'm like kind of like cool with it, because the Pistons could use a little bit of gusto on their team right now.
Sure.
But February 23rd, so tomorrow when you're listening to this, is the court date for this man. He was arrested, and they said detectives are investigating the assault that happened. What I assume probably happened is they had some beef before or after it, but both officers spoke to both players, number of witnesses to the incident. It was an argument before they arrived at the arena. So whatever was going on, they came into it. Isaiah Stewart said, "Enough of your bitch-ass shit. I'm going to beat your ass now." So he did that, got arrested, and alas, the game still went on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they were without their guy because he beat the fuck out of some random bystander?
No, Drew Eubanks is on the Suns.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
So he beat the fuck out of the guy on the Suns.
He punched him. I don't know how much he beat him up. I feel like it got pulled
Why
off
is there
real
a
quick.
court case? They just got in a little fight.
Because it wasn't like in the field of play. It's a whole thing. Like if you do it pregame, then that's like a different level. Because it wasn't like, there was no refs or anything like that watching it. It was just like a random act of violence, which is considered as assault.
So if you did it on the floor,
I don't know how that all works, but all I know is that Draymond Green isn't going to court dates, so you got to assume that if it happens before the game, then it's fine. Or did Bobby Portis go to court for punching Nikola Mirotic in the face in practice?
yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Him and Nikola Mirotic got in a big old fight.
Which
Remember
is
how
cool.
good Nikola Mirotic was supposed to
Was
be?
supposed to be,
And he
yeah.
was not good at all.
Candy ass boy is what I
And
call
he just
that.
looked like a monk.
Yep.
Yeah, a very bushy beard and a very bushy haircut, and he just could only shoot wide open threes.
And
That
he was
it.
supposed to be good at threes, but he really wasn't. It was all
He
bad.
wasn't
That
really
was
good
bad.
at anything, and they were
No.
like, when we get Mirotic, he's the next Tony Kukoc. This. No, he's not.
No, he's not. He's like
No, he's
Tony
not.
Kukoc is like a strained cousin who just ended up on the team and no one knows how.
Yeah, something about the Serbs, man. They're really good at basketball, unless your name's Nikola Mirotic.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Nikola Mirotic and his beard, maybe he would have been a little bit better
True.
if he chose to shave his beard.
True
If
James.
he's to shave any beard, should use the wonderful people and brand of Henson Shaving Company.
Agreed. We will go into the Ian interview after this break. This part of today's episode is brought to you by none other than our friends at Henson Shaving. If you guys have been listening to the show for a while, you already know that we swear by Henson Shaving. We've been using them for months, and there really isn't a better product out there. The Henson razor puts an end to shaving irritation and cuts while also making your skin feel comfortable and smooth. This razor is made by using CNC machines to aerospace standards. That's right, rocket ships, people. That means it's made to very tight tolerances, meaning that the combination of how securely it's held and how minimally the blade is exposed delivers a smooth and safe shave no other razor can offer. It's literally one blade. Be safe. Please be safe. They're very sharp. You twist on the top and you get to work. It's that easy. You remember the beard bet? You remember me shaving off the whole thing? If you need to watch somebody use it, go on my Instagram and check it out because it's really that easy. Cost of ownership averages $88.20 every 2 years, which is essentially $177 less than normal cartridge razors. They're sustainable, it's precise, it's Henson Shaving. It's got a nice weight to it. It's made out of metal. None of this plastic garbage. So please use the promo code THETAXISQUAD, THETAXISQUAD, at checkout, and you'll receive a 100-pack of blades free with the purchase of the razor. So you go on the site, you add the razor that you're looking for, and then you add a 100-pack of razors, you'll get those for free. For most users, this amount of blades will last you 2 to 5 years depending on how often you shave. So that promo code again is the Taxi Squad at HensonShaving.com. Go check it out. Welcome to the interview portion of today's episode. We have 8-year pro pitcher, 40-man roster, 3-time spring training invitee, and a man that basically shared a hometown with your boys, Ian Gardeck. Welcome to the show.
Hey,
Welcome to the show, Ian.
It's an honor. It's nice to meet some fellow 847, local area codes, be back with the boys, right?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely,
Happy to have you, man. Happy to have you. Everything going well? You're out in Arizona by Mike over there?
Out in Arizona by Mike. I mean, any day you get a cigar and you're in a short sleeve T-shirt and kicking back, it's not a bad day.
You don't miss the beanie hats and the scarves and the triple layers?
No, I had a beanie hat on the way to the gym this morning at 5. Walked into Lifetime about 5:15, and I did have the beanie hat on. Little embarrassed. It was still about 65 degrees, and I'm rocking the beanie. But hey, the beanie doesn't dye. It just looks a little bit more ridiculous when it's warm around.
Different day, different type of life than we have out here. This is for necessity. Yours is for style, I'd say.
Yeah. Now,
Mike,
Ian, I guess the real question. What's that?
We get cold. We do get cold here, Mike. Like, defend me. It's cold here.
I was just about to ask you. So with all that, like, are you like a winter coat guy when it drops below like 55? I haven't gotten there yet. My blood's still like Chicago. It's still thick. So like I can still walk outside in a T-shirt when it's in the 50s. But I don't know. I see the Arizonans, so to speak, in their parkas.
I got rid of all of the winter coat stuff kind of mistakenly and haven't brought myself back to do it. I'm a big fan of the hoodie and like a shell coat. Yeah. So like give me a hoodie and I'm a big double up hoodie bomber. That way, if you're feeling a little hot, you can rip the bomber off. If it starts raining, you get a little shell there. So big hoodie bomber guy.
Love it.
I love that. Love that.
Awesome, man. Well, I mean, hey, Ian, thank you once again for being on the show. We got a lot to get into with you. As we described, Ian's background, 8-year pro in the MLB, comes from our hometown, and kind of leaning into that. We grew up in a pretty small area in the northwest suburbs of Chicagoland, so we don't see a ton of people make it to that level. So with that being said, I mean, can you kind of like walk us through your journey from high school, I mean, even before then, from high school, college, to the minor leagues, to making a 40-man, like, how does that really look?
So I think you got to start with the origin story, right? The origin story is somebody that shows that it's real, right? So if you go to Ken Raines and Rashad Stewart back at the original pro player, that was my first interaction with guys that had actually done it and shown that it was attainable. Otherwise, it was like being an astronaut. I don't know about you, but I never met any astronauts, so it didn't seem feasible as a kid. But I met firemen, I met police officers, and I met Ken and Rashad Stewart, and they showed that the dream was actually a reality. So it started as a kid, really evolved in high school. Shout out to my best friend who's no longer with us, Tony Pauls. Tony Pauls was the one that kept me going. Believe it or not, I was ready to hang it up. There were some frustrating years there. Things weren't right. If you're familiar with the area and you graduated in my class, you probably knew me as a DH or a hitter.
No shit.
I developed as a pitcher, but hitting was really the forte that started the beast, and that came from the hand-eye from hockey and being a multi-sport athlete. I had that hip shoulder separation movement and kind of hip rotation going on from hockey with just that lower body power. I didn't realize how strong I was from hockey until baseball stopped, and now my legs are the size of twigs.
What is it with hockey players assimilating to like any sport ever? That's never made to, like, hockey players on the whole are some of the best athletes probably on the planet.
I mean, let's just break it down. You're on like a 1-inch blade flying around at 20 plus miles an hour, right?
Fair.
Like, and dudes are
So-
trying to take your heads off. There's a combination of fighting. There's a whole chess match within the game. You get really smart analytic guys because it's all geometry, right? Like board passing and all of that's angles. So pool and it's giant guys playing pool, and it's fun, right? Like it's moving at a fast pace, so you've got to adapt. So you get a little bit of that NASCAR, like quick, make an adjustment, move. But no, it's a blast. The guys that stand in front of the net, like, let's talk about that for a second. Like, a dude's going to crank a slap shot from 100 miles an hour.
Nope.
And you're going to stand there, no face mask, and try and defend that. Holy cow,
Yeah.
I'm good. Pass.
No.
Pass.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah, you definitely got to have balls of steel for that. There's no doubt about it. So, what age were you when you started playing hockey, and then what age were you when you started playing baseball, and did you do both? Assuming that was kind of the case.
Yeah, so hockey, I stepped on the ice, I want to say about 4. My parents did learn to skate with me, 4 or 5, and I was a natural. For the longest time, walked not nearly as good as I skated. Like, I was a way better skater than a walker.
Damn.
We joked, like, we better put some ice down. I'd probably get to school better. But baseball was always, we stayed in athletics the entire year, right? So it kept you out of trouble. It kept you disciplined. You had to maintain your grades. So that made a transition into college really pretty seamless because we were always juggling, one thing after the next. Freshman year, I remember going from the all-star game at hockey into baseball tryouts. And it was like, all right, baseball tryouts into summer ball, into Babe Ruth Caba. I think you guys are familiar with Caba.
Better believe
that was
it.
kind of another cool launching off point. I still remember playing against Tucker Barnhart at Cabo. Like, I met Tucker
Crazy.
Damn.
at Cabo. So, like, those are the type of dudes that stayed around. Rudy Flores, he had played in the big leagues a little bit. The bubble and network, like, as you went, got smaller and smaller. It's also my belief that turds, if you're a turd in life, it's a vast wandering wasteland. But if you're good to people, it is a small little pool.
Yeah.
And people are attracted. You meet good people, just like Mike. It's a fun environment. You want to stay in that, right?
Absolutely, man. No, that's crazy that you got the chance to play with additional pros in that time, and so what was your last year in Cabo? Probably your last year in high school, like 17, 18?
Yeah, so I had 17, 18. I played for a team called Bergen Beach.
Okay.
That actually, the coach is kind of an absolute OG. Steve Bort was like, he put together some of the most insane teams. Bergen Beach was at Cabo that year. I think they took second at 15. And then I got invited years later to play with their showcase team, and it was like a U18. We rolled every team. We run ruled all the way to the championship.
Damn.
I've never been a part of a team that was so dominant. Everybody ended up playing in the minor leagues, big leagues in some form. It was just an incredible experience to be around athletes so talented, and you knew where everybody was going just because of just what they did. I mean, it was insane. Guys hitting bombs that, you can't even imagine how far it hit with those old missile bats. Thrown in the upper 90s. It was a cool experience. He had A-Rod and a lot of big name guys back in the day.
No kidding.
Wow.
So he was a pretty cool coach to play for.
Seems like it. That's impressive. So when did that switch happen for you, really, from the time that, you were hitting bombs, you were using, by the way, if we're going to talk about those old bats, you bring up the old bats, like, what was your bat of choice? Were you an Easton guy? Were you a TPX guy? What were you?
So I was an Easton Stealth guy.
Yes, sir. Correct
Big
answer.
Easton.
Correct answer.
We needed the stiff because you can imagine the torque of somebody that could throw the ball almost 100 miles an hour in high school that he put on the bat swinging, because it's the same motion, right? Just different angles. So I love that stiff green Easton, man. I think you're familiar with the target at Jacobs. There
Yeah.
are ball marks, I'm pretty sure, on that back wall
Yep.
there from me. Yeah.
Badass. You're
That's
doing
But
it
no,
against us, but badass.
yeah, the switch really took place when I took full ownership. I actually thought I was going to be done playing baseball, and that was sophomore year. So I played sophomore year, get done. I'm just spent, right? I do think there's sports fatigue that goes on at a young age, right?
Sure.
Mentally,
Sure.
physically, emotionally. These, not that my parents had done it, but just it gets overwhelming, right? It's a lot. You just keep
Sure.
flipping over, and kids are doing different things. So I, at that point, was like, you know what? I'm going to get a job. Got a couple of jobs. I wanted some money. I drove my car. I started working out. And I just was obsessed with the gym. Being
Right.
a heavier guy, I'm sure both of you guys can relate. Being the chubbier kids.
Hell yeah.
No
It
way.
gets, it gets to that point where you're like, enough is enough. Like, I'm going to at least put
Yep.
on some muscle. So I'm going to move some of these little frat boys around.
For sure.
And that was the launching point. I remember hooking on with just some old school, like salt of the earth gym guys.
For sure.
And I'm doing bench negatives. I'm doing everything the opposite of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So I've jumped in velocity. I think the first time I threw was like 88, 92 off the mound. And as I stopped lifting my chest and my arms, I progressively started throwing harder because I wasn't carrying as much weight and wasn't as tight in my chest. So it was weird backing off of some of that stuff because it was the foundation, but you adapt, right? It was,
Yeah.
I'm figuring it out at 16 on how to train to be something that I thought was achievable, but I thought I was going to be Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa. I didn't think I was going to try and be Eric Gagne.
Yeah.
For sure. That's crazy. So you started pitching then after your sophomore year of high school is really kind of when that started to develop.
Yep, the junior fall was kind of the launching point at a showcase. Honestly, a pro
Okay.
player. I was
Okay.
trying out for the first team, and we let it fly. A lot of people at that point had only known me to be a DH, and not many people go to college just to DH. So I had to try and figure something out.
For sure. For sure. So leaning into then your junior and senior year, what were the type of offers you were looking at then from, being a part of the CABA program, getting into more of a pitching role, stepping into that and putting the bat down, so to speak. What did that look like? What did that process entail where you're now starting to get looked at, you're starting to get offers, scouts? How did that process look to you?
Yeah, it's completely overwhelming, right? Like it's something that most kids, talk about being super exciting and they tell their boys they're super excited about it, but it's super stressful, right? You're making decisions that are, supposed to impact, the rest of your life at 16 to 18. Like it's wow, this is coming quick. Um, there started to be a little bit of pro interest. Agents started coming out of the woodworks. We heard from schools, but unfortunately, I wasn't as focused at school as I was at baseball.
Feel
I
that.
won't say I'm an idiot, but I don't feel that I applied myself because I remember junior or senior year looking at my science teacher, Renee Kajishki, and I was like, I don't need to, this doesn't matter. I'm going to play professional baseball. And she
Yeah.
was like, yeah, like, okay, whatever. Like, you're going to need this. Like, you need to learn, like, and you need to just do it.
Do you
Sure.
need it
So
now, though? Do you need it
I
now?
don't,
Yeah.
I don't need it
Yeah.
now. I don't,
Right.
I don't. But it was the getting it done aspect, which, reigned
Sure.
true on going back and finishing my degree, 10 years later after starting it. Like, there's something to be said about
Sure.
starting something, finishing something. So there is
For
the
sure.
utmost respect that she hammered that home. But I came back after I got drafted and was like, "Hey, I did it." And she's like, "Yeah, you were determined, you were focused, you had a plan, and I'm not surprised."
Right.
But it's nerve wracking, right? And I didn't get the offers because it was tough to get into schools. I kept all my Ivy League stuff just because it was laughable that I was going to even qualify. Notre Dame was a talk, but academically not able to swing it. So some of these like schools, you start getting excited, and then there's the just sheer, disappointment that you didn't spend enough time on your academics. Looking back, those classes are not that hard. It's just more about putting in the effort. And as a kid, you just want to put your effort into having fun, kicking it with the boys, and playing sports. But yeah, we lost some opportunities there. We ultimately settled on the University of Dayton. It was a full ride opportunity, private Catholic university,
Nice.
mid-major. Had some bigger offers, but with 3 boys coming behind the line, college was needing to be covered, right? Like financially,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how my parents survived having 4 kids, let alone thinking about if we all had to pay for school. Luckily, most of us didn't. So that played a factor into it. Went to Dayton, realized that the academic program didn't quite fit. I liked academics more than I liked baseball. And, again, going back to it, the ultimate goal was to play professionally. So we transferred out. After a great summer, I remember the best coach, and I will tout him, that I have run across is Corey Mascara. He's the pitching coach with Wake Forest. They are nasty. They are nasty. He has produced some just absolute dudes, and I had him at pretty much almost his origin story, fresh out of college, been through just kind of actually the story that I went through, and invested in his guys, even in just summer ball, right? Summer ball's a couple months. There's not a whole lot of recognition. And I remember getting on the bus. I was like, yeah, I broke up with my high school girlfriend today. I left a full ride scholarship, and we're about to take a 12-hour bus ride to Maine on a school bus.
That's
come
bold.
back come back and play the next day. I mean, that was the NECBL back in the days. Was you're going to flip 24 hours on a bus and play 3, and then you're going to play 2 games.
Wow.
I just remember him being so assured and being like, dude, you're amazing. Like, you're going to figure this out. I'm going to help you. We're going to get you where you want to be. And in 4 or 5 days, I was hearing from coaches from North Carolina, and, coming from a Dayton program to now North Carolina's in the mix. Ultimately, we settled on going back to junior college so that I could be draft eligible, and then be able to not sit out, right? I was a control project. It was a shit show, to say the least. Balls would fly everywhere. So I like to equate this to, I was throwing in the mid to upper 90s before I had probably 30 innings under my belt. So you can imagine when you're off like an inch, a guy that throws 80, 85, it misses by a couple inches. It's not bad. The rate at which I'm moving, it's missing by feet, and people are dying, and things are freaking, and umpires are getting maimed, and catchers are freaking out. It was, I'll be honest, it was a shit show starting out, and I felt bad. And that, kind of feeds into some of the fear that I had, and Corey Fix was just, I was given this bazooka of a weapon, and no scope, no sight, no anything.
Right.
Just overly coachable, had no identity in it. And so Corey really helped hammer that out, and I had an absolutely amazing summer. First introduced to host families, which, again, if you're not familiar with the baseball grind, host families really make this dream possible. From the college ranks in summer ball to, staying in San Jose, host families are the backbone of baseball that doesn't really get talked about. These families open up their homes. They usually have kids. They may not. They may not have had kids. And they support you, right? Because financially, you cannot support yourself. It's a dream pursuit, and there's some sacrifices along the way. And a lot of them were financial.
Sure. That's crazy, man. So you were kind of like the wild thing of your class, so to speak, and that summer ball, that summer you clearly got it under wraps. So after that summer ball session, I'm assuming after that stage of the game, you started to get far more attention.
Yeah, so I had a good summer, and then I like to say we enter into the Kenny Powers era.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
Um,
yeah.
that's really it's. I have La Flama Blanca hats for my roommates and everything. We really entered into the Kenny Powers. I equated uh, East Texas to Mexico, and I was trying to get my pitch back, and it was fun. It was again another overwhelming experience. Looking back, my first bullpen, there was I don't know 20 scouts there to watch a bullpen, and guys are wearing
Damn.
fatigues and just non-practice uniforms, and there's 80 guys out there for junior college. I know I'm going to be on the team, but what's going on? This is weird. And oddly enough, some of these kids are way better than even kids I played with in high school. So I'm like, wow, why do we have so many guys? It was a weird experience seeing that, but it was fun, right? Like you adapt.
Sure.
I had good roommates, but then the game started, and I did have a very good fall. I was still kind of in flow from the summer. I think my first outing, I punched out 8 and 9 hitters,
There
and
you
was
go.
in the upper 90s with an upper 80s 90-mile-an-hour slider, and everybody was like, who is this guy? I remember I had 80 phone calls after a night class. I had to take like 27 hours of credits my first
Wow.
semester so
Jeez.
that I could take a normal workload the second semester and graduate, because I knew I wanted to have the option to go to a 4 year, and I didn't want to take summer school. I wanted to play on the Cape Cod.
Sure.
So I had so many hours, and I came out of a class and I was just like, I don't even know how to address this. Like, I had schools, agents, went through decision paralysis on the agent aspect. I had a rogue guy represent me my senior year. That was a terrible experience, just asking for things that were not there. So I kind of had taboo and shied away from agents, and probably hurt myself by doing so. But you just go with the information that you have. Um,
Absolutely.
Ended up coming out that fall. I was the number one junior college prospect in the country after Bryce Harper. So you
Wow.
can imagine the
Yeah.
pressure that I was putting on myself, because I knew what he was going to be, and with the stuff that was coming out of my hand. We tried to turn me into a starter. Probably wasn't the best idea, and really started adding in a third pitch, and we completely lost identity. Um, I also had my grandmother diagnosed with terminal brain cancer that year and spiraled.
Shit.
Um, the wheels on the bus do come off, and they came off
Sure.
hard. But we did, everything works out. We went out to the Cape Cod. I got to play out in the Cape. Just an absolute, again, incredible experience.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Roommates with Andrew Heaney. Shout out to Andrew Heaney
Yeah.
for still
Yeah.
continuing to get it done. He was nasty, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, 94 hammers left side, just cool as a cucumber. But yeah, that was my roommate in the Cape.
That's awesome.
Had a good time out there, and then we went to Alabama, which just the being around success
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Gymnastics won national championships that year. Football won a national championship that year. Men's golf, I mean, track and field. It was incredible to be around the amount of success. Scott Cochran screaming in the locker room. Walking in with Nick Saban every morning just because, I got 8 a.m.s and I'm going to hit the same routine every day. And so does Nick.
That's awesome.
I learned at a, pretty young age that successful people keep routines. Didn't matter, rain, snow, shine, hungover, doesn't matter. You show up, you stay on your routine, and there's power in that. So, it was an incredible experience. It didn't work out baseball wise. We got off to a hot start, and again, being the wild thing I was, the wheels came off, and you got to be ready to pitch in the SEC. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not the most talented arms in the SEC. You've got to be polished. So there were
Yeah.
teammates that were Friday night guys that didn't get drafted, and I had 12 innings pitched, and I was drafted higher than every single one of them. So there's that difference in college baseball. It's more about being polished and ready to go and having pitchability and mix, and can you get away with stuff? It's changed now. They're pumping out crazy arms.
Yeah, I was gonna say like LSU, Vanderbilt. I feel like we're seeing 2 to 3 guys a year at this point.
Yeah. You're in those power conferences. Your Friday and Saturday guys are dudes.
Yeah.
They're absolute dudes. Your Sunday guys usually probably young. Um, your midweek guys, probably could be Friday night guys on most of the programs. So it's cool. I mean, when I pitched at LSU, Gosman opened up the game, and his last pitch, which was like his 90th pitch in the 8th inning, was almost 100 miles an hour. I mean, I was just like, God damn! Like you were around dudes. Mike Roth was pitching at South Carolina. I mean, there was you played against studs, and that's what you want. You want to be around the best guys. You want to see where you match up, because it's a man with the stick and a man with the rock. Like, where do I stand? And,
Right. Yeah, it's a primal game. So what playing in the SEC then? I mean, first and foremost, you said you got a chance to walk with Saban to class, or your routine most weeks. Any conversations that stick out in your mind? I mean, not many people can say they got the opportunity to do that in life.
No, I think they were just short. I think it was the respect that he acknowledged that I was in routine, right? Like
Cool.
just getting the acknowledgement that, you were in the same routine and the same flow was enough for me. And that's what I really hold on to, is just like when you're around success. And even Cochran, making a comment after I came back and was like, how did you pass classes? Like, you were in here sometimes for like 2 football groups. And it was just like, that's who I was. Like, I was going to do enough to get by academically, not fail anything, but, I did get some help. Some teachers were for loving, but
Sure.
It was all about baseball. That was the pursuit,
Absolutely.
the dream, the everything, and let's go. And it got shaky there with 12 innings. I did not know if it was going to work. I just solely did not know if it was going to work. So that, after being an 8th rounder to the White Sox in 2011, and then, we were getting into day 3 and it was not even a consideration. The conversations were not going well. But my area scout went to bat for me and got me to a pre-draft workout with the Giants. I flew out on my own dime, paid for it, put myself up in a hotel. Shout out to my parents for being able to do that last minute. Not
awesome.
cheap, from Alabama to San Francisco.
Hell no. Yeah.
Clean across the country.
But yeah, I met who was my champion, right? The guy that believed in me the most in the organization and who made all the moves was Dick Tidrow. I threw for Dick Tidrow, rest in peace. Again, another one of the goods gone too early. But Dick believed in me. He we had a connection, and he even remembered talking about it throughout the years as I went up. He's like, I remember seeing you at AT&T when we didn't have you signed from Alabama and things weren't quite there. Dick also helped, scare the absolute bejesus out of me when things were going wrong in 2014. And it was a mess. I was hurt. Balls were going everywhere. I was walking like 3 guys every time I, stepped out onto the mound. I had 9 walks per 9. It was a disaster, right? Like, just the worst year that you could draw up. And he's like, all right, we're going to drop down. And I'm like, I threw 100 miles an hour the other day, and now we're going to drop down sidearm? Like, how low? Like, underhand, sidearm? He's like, I don't know, just start slinging it. And I was like, oh, boy, this is where it ends. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, you don't see many of those guys in the league, and this is not a project you start at this age. Like, holy crap.
What goes through your head at that point where it's like, he's like, I want to switch what you're doing. You're so accustomed to what you're already doing. Are you like, I'm going to trust him for this? Or are you more so like, all right, let's see how this goes?
I mean, there's so much behind that, right? There's the
Yeah.
fear that this is done. There's the want to be coachable, where it's like, hey, if you give me some time, I'm down to do this. But if this is like, I got to have this figured out in a week and then we're done, like, I don't know about that. So it was weird. It was definitely like, this is not a good signal. I remember going into that off season, and I had told people back home, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of spring. I really just do not know what is in store for me. And oddly enough, Corey calls me from Danbury, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm at home." He's like, you excited for the year? I was like, honestly, I don't even know how to throw a baseball. And he was like, what? I was like, I don't know how to throw a baseball anymore. I was like, I've hit my head. I said, pushing the ball, slinging the ball. I don't know what I'm doing. And so he just broke it down real simple. And he's like, no more playing catch with people. Gave me a couple of drills. He's like, put your headphones in. He's like, when was the last time you had fun playing catch? And it was like, holy cow! From 16 to now, call it 22. For the last 6 years, you've just been chasing something and not really enjoying it, right? Like you say you're enjoying it, but you're just so focused that you don't really enjoy throwing a baseball anymore. So it was just like, okay, let's have fun just throwing a baseball. And I came home and I was like, we're either going to figure this out and it's going to click, or this is going to be a mess. Like, I was throwing balls at the top of the nets. Like, it's all over the place. I was like, holy cow. And then about a week in, it started to click. And I was like, we got something here. And we kept going. We kept drilling. And then Matt Yorkin made a switch. And it was unconventional, right? Most pitchers keep their hands real close to their chest. But I just kept getting tied up, right? Because I was a bigger guy. I didn't look pitcher. You have to keep in mind that I was 240 pounds. I was built like an edge rusher or middle linebacker in the NFL. Yeah. I wasn't, and I'm only 6 foot. I'm not built like a traditional pitcher. So he drops my hands out and he goes, all right, just relax them right here. He's like, I'm just going to hold them. And he goes, pick up and go. And wham! I could have hit a gnat on a horse's ass.
Damn.
And I was like, whoa. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do it again. And it was like, whoa, like we're 2 in a row. And it was like I had the greatest bullpen session of my life. And there was still that, like, I always played Jekyll and Hyde, right? I was 2 guys. If I was in stride, you're not hitting me. If I was out, good luck, duck, cover. Like, I wouldn't hit against myself. But then it clicked, and I was like, maybe this is that moment that everybody talks about where they're like, at some point, everybody has it, and you go, aha, well, that was it. From then on out, walks dropped. I knew how, like, now I'm able to think, like, I always knew how to play the game, but I couldn't execute, right? Like,
sure.
Being a drill sergeant, your soldiers are running to the left, you're screaming to go to the right, and you're helpless. So it was that way in baseball, and that's why it was such a frustrating game. It was just like, I want to play the actual game behind the game, right? Like, let's get into setting up pitches. Let's get into, like, strategy, right? Because that's what the game's really built around is, like, I'm going to do this because I'm doing that. And, now you're playing chess. I was playing just checkers, trying to just get the ball over home plate. And then once I got into the game of chess, it was just so much more fun. I could talk to the pitching coach more, figure out who's hot, who's cold, and really be in tune with the game.
So with that, like, to give it some context, what year is this now? So you're out of Bama, you're now in the Giants program. What year is this looking like? How old are you at this time? What is this, 2015, 2016?
So 2015 is the year that it clicked, right? Played with some just absolute dogs. We had we were the San Francisco Giants, so we won at every level. Like, there was a belief, and it was different back then. The analytics hadn't really got into it. Even some of the healthcare stuff didn't really get into it. And we were old school, right? There was, no facial hair below your lip. So I had crazy pedophile mustaches. That looked better than me having a well-kept beard.
There was times in your career where you had a beast of a beard too, at least the pictures I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, the beard had a personality, and that's kind of what, when you go through 38 months of rehab that we'll get to later on, like, you have to put on a mask and you realize you're wearing a costume, and you kind of start to check out of, attaching to all the results. So, but no, 2012 was short season ball. That was a pretty good year, long year, did a lot of stuff, had a lot of fun. We had a good team. 2013 was another good year. Everybody stayed together, got off to a slow start, but again, just the highs and lows. There was great games where I get on a roll, and then the wheels start to come off, and you're walking guys, and it's like, who is this? So but A ball is really a lot of short season and even low A. It's a lot of just high school kids that are finally going out, and a lot of college kids. So you get that weird mix. And the college kids, maybe there's something wrong with them. When the high school kids are just getting experience, so they don't really have approaches. Then you start getting into high A, and guys start developing a little bit of an approach. In the Cal League, it is a launching pad.
Yeah.
They are some small fields, and if you back in the day Lancaster and High Desert played, I think there was like 20 home runs hit in the game.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah, you could get clipped, right? It's ambush central. Guys are swinging to get out of high A. That was the motto, was swing to get out of high A. So guys are just hacking, trying to hit home runs to get to double A, because double A is your proving ground, right? Like if you can play in double A, it's just about a break here, a break there, being consistent at the right time. Triple A is more of a holding tank. Prospect area, some vets, especially with an older team. We always carried a heavy vet team in SAC, just because we need a taxi in case somebody goes down. We want to be ready. We're not getting caught. Giants were very prepared. We were very, at depth, especially at the catcher position and pitching, right? Like the unit. We knew what we were built on, and we were stacked there. So 2015, we had guys like Tyler Rogers was repeating high A, who's a big league closer who was ready for the
crazy.
Big event. He was setting us up. Like he got demoted from double A, which blew my mind. And yeah, just wild stuff. Ray Black was in our bullpen. Ray Black, probably the hardest throw I've ever seen besides Chapman. This dude just slang it. And he had video game stuff. Unfortunately, he battled the injury bug. And to be honest, I kind of talked shit on him a little bit, just because I was like, come on, like how bad could it be? And then I went through it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
No, I get it. And you're a tough dude. And it's a completely different stance, right? Like, that's why I really try not to judge anymore. I've been through so much, and you go through so much perspective, highs, lows, goods, bads. Like things are just circumstantial. Like a lot of times in life, and people are doing the best that they can. And who am I to judge? Until I've walked in their shoes and experienced it. And I went through it with Ray, and it's hard. We just couldn't stay healthy. We also had Chase Johnson, who was a starter, who when I think it was Jake Peavy, it came down, he had to get an inning or two, and then Chase went on to throw 7 scoreless innings, and Peavy was like, this guy is big league ready right now. I mean, that was the kind of stuff that we just had laying around. It was just, everybody was a dude. If you were with the Giants and you were a pitcher, you were a dude. It didn't matter if you were at the lowest level or the highest level. Like the Giants were built on pitching, so you were there for a reason. Which was cool. Bled into 2016, getting put onto the 40-man roster. I grinded it out, had a big year with the postseason, 80 appearances. Me and Jake Smith broke Romo's strikeout record.
No shit.
San Jose, which was pretty cool, especially then to go and meet Romo in camp and him be aware of it. Was even cooler, and then him to be just like an absolute amazing human being. Sometimes baseball players get a rap from time to time. This guy was one of the nicest guys that I have met as a teammate, because you can only imagine the posturing that goes on in a locker room sometimes with young guys coming up, old guys, knowing they're down to their last year or two, or a fringe guy who you might be competing with during the year. Romo was just a welcoming presence, especially for a team that was very well connected, right? And rightfully so, coming off of, the third World Series in as many years, it was a very connected group. And a little intimidating, even being a roster guy, right? You know, I've got a Hall of Fame manager as my first manager,
Yeah.
probably a Hall of Fame pitching coach in Dave Rigetti, who again, tremendous human being. Um, you just were around success, and when you look back, I'm very blessed to have been around so many successful human beings, from being at Alabama to then going to, you know, the Giants to win 3 World Series. And then after things went, you know, kind of south with the Giants, you know, I end up in Tampa, and holy moly, what an organization on the cutting edge. And again, just amazing human beings that just don't have the budget, right, that San Francisco does, and they understand their market. So it's been a fun path, you know, a lot of successful people along the way, and you get to meet people who do it just incredibly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were all like, I feel like the 2 organizations, those 2 that we highlighted, obviously, those are 2 of the prime organizations you'd want to be in as a pitcher.
Yes and no, right? Like if you're trying to develop, like me, it was a great landing spot, but when you're ready to go, it can be a blockade, right? Because
Bottleneck.
I remember talking to my agent. I had hired my agent, Dave Pepe. His dad was Phil Pepe, the New York sports journalist, and Billy Martin Jr., whose dad was Billy Martin, the Yankees manager. They met in the clubhouse. So I hired them in 2015. You know, my walks, I think, were at like 20. I was like, hey, I promise you I'm not going to walk a guy in the second half of the season. I ended up walking 4. 2 were Coco Crisp. Not that I'm salty or anything, but Coco was just getting the most cupcake strike zone I've ever seen. I was thrown into a tin can.
I was going to say, he's not hitting it 450 on you, you know?
No, but those were the guys. So you want to talk about hitters that I hated facing? Give me a power righty all day.
Yeah.
Give me any righty all day. Give me any power lefty all day. Give me a slap lefty, and I'm terrified.
So guys like Juan Pierre, Coco Crisp, you know, the Kenny Lofton subtype is just what you just, because those guys could foul you off till you're blue in the face, I'm imagining.
It's a long at bat. It's a stressful at bat. If they're on base, your whole fucking outing is just, pardon my language, shot. Your whole outing is shot.
That is speaking of cupcake, that's cupcake based on what we say.
Now you've got a jackrabbit on the base pass.
Yeah.
I don't like holding runners. I don't like dealing. No pitcher likes dealing with stress, right? So now you got this guy popping around. He steals second. He's scoring on a single. Like, it's just a nightmare. You're going to give up. I gave up so many, being a power sinker guy with the Giants. I gave up so many infield singles, and it's just the fact of life.
Sure.
Like, it's those. When I saw those were circled, right? Like, and there were some teams that I came up with, like Seattle had a lineup where it was like, before you got to Tyler, and I love facing Tyler O'Neill. Like, Tyler O'Neill was like, I circled him, and I was like, give me that guy. But they had 2 slap guys around him where I was like, I want no part of this guy. Like, I just want to, if he gets on, I want to wave him to third, like, because regardless, he's going to score. I just don't want to look at him. But those slap guys are tough, man. They're just tough at bats. They're scrappy, and they're going to create havoc for you. It's no fun. You know, give me a power righty. I knew how to pitch those guys. Those guys didn't scare me. You know, the sliders, and I love breaking bats. I actually had a right Johnson shot in 2013. I pulled off of a 2-seam so bad, hit him right in the Johnson as he swung.
No.
Strike three. Rang the bell.
He got hit. He got hit in the dick. And go sit down.
Just a dick shot. He's pissed. I was laughing. That was a highlight, right? When you go right on right, that's the kind of movement that I had. And that was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
What speed are you going on that? Like 90, 92?
Oh, no. That he took that like probably 95, 96.
Oh, right? God. Oh, no.
Like, so when you're at that level, I'm assuming if you're a day in, day out hitter, you're wearing a cup, and or did you know of guys who chose not to? Which is ballsy as fuck. I mean,
your outfielders, your outfielders don't really like wearing cups. You know, I get it. You know, they're probably not going to see it. Catchers are a must. They have like special tank cups Unfortunately, I played with 2 catchers that had exploded testicles. Yeah,
Oh.
it's absolutely just the worst noise, and the worst thing to see is just have a guy just explode his nuts, right? Like, I watched a guy take it
Oh,
back to back, and that absolutely exploded it. Where you were just like, he got hit, and they're like, "Come out, he's a tough guy," and then literally like, you can't make this up, right again, and you're like, he walked out, and he could just feel it was just shard, it was just shards, right? Just there's
poor
nothing
guy.
there, like,
That
just a
sucks
mess. Yeah,
so
yeah, those,
bad.
yeah.
Terrifying.
You're like, I hope kids weren't in the mix, like.
Yeah, right, exactly, because that's not going to go much of anywhere.
So, we talk about the game within the game, and that is so much of a situation of the chess match of a pitcher to a hitter. Now, did you have specific guys that caught for you that you preferred over others? Is there something that goes into that that
Yeah,
in your mind?
yeah, when you get into the pitcher catcher relationship, I don't think that there's anything kind of more special. Like, I would imagine, and again, I have never played quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure Tom Brady had a center that, you have to groom these guys, right? Because
Yeah.
it's all about how they make you feel. He's delivering the ball to Tom. I'm delivering the ball to him, the catcher, and he's got to make me feel comfortable, either that he's in flow with me on what we're calling, or that he can block that slider in the dirt, that he can receive the ball if it's not exactly where it's at and still steal me a strike, and then just somebody that knows how to fire you up or calm you down, right? Like, there's times where we all need a little pick me up, and
Yeah.
that's where that relationship really comes into play. I liked throwing to just big body guys. Like, think of your Joe Mauers, your Buster Posies, like
Bigger target, right?
Oh, I loved
Yeah.
it. It just was reassuring. If you gave me a small target, it kind of scared me a little bit. It just, like, I couldn't line things up like their bodies, because you go on sight rails, right? Like, where you're starting pitches on where to, get more tilt. I started there, and you have these reference points usually on your catcher, where you start things. So there's so much of that going on that when you swap those guys out, it's a change. It's a change. It really is.
So I see this a lot, and I feel like the further we get into the future here, we see this more often. And it's weird, nuanced drills, like drills that aren't, bullpen throwing. Sometimes it's like, oh, grab this like sack of sand and throw it at the wall 15 times. Did you have any of those where you're like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what is this?
So yeah, I did steal one. I played with a guy from Latin America. Guy was just a wild guy, right? Just insane, like, just insane stories. He wanted to talk about owning tigers, and apparently he was a doctor back in Colombia or something. And you're
Okay.
like, just off the wall, outlandish stuff. But he carried this cannonball, and he would swing the cannonball and just slam it into the dirt, and it would
Like
just
a
leave
big
these,
metal ball?
like a shot put, like
Oh,
a
shit.
big cannonball, like a cannonball, like a 12-pound cannonball.
Just chuck it on the
And
ground. No shit.
so he would do that, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I'm down. So that got incorporated. Now I'm throwing like just these heavy, massive like balls. Just I'd swing it, get it going. I do that 2 or 3 times because it's insane, right? Like, the idea of being a relief pitcher, the concept is just absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, guy calls like, "Oh, are you ready? You've been sitting down probably for 2.5, 3 hours, and now you got to go at max speed." But it was a smell of the smelling salts. I was a big smelling salt guy, and
Oh, yeah.
actually they panned me in the bullpen getting ready, and it looked like I was hitting a bump.
Because you're just like, ooh,
Were you?
yeah.
Because I'm like, I go, oh,
Yeah.
wow, and it just was like a great jolt. And then I liked a couple of just big squat jumps. Even when I get out to the mound, there's nothing to me. Like, it was all about intimidation. Like, I'd get out to the game mound and I'm doing 2-3 squat jumps,
Yeah.
knees to chest, like, and I'm 240 pounds just getting up. Like, here we go. Like, I'm going to run at you. But yeah, it was those kind of 3 things. Like, you you just get a routine. Even from getting to the field, I've always liked being the first guy there. And then after batting practice, which is just daunting, right? Like to watch guys try and figure out launch elevation, and I get it, it's their craft, but we don't make them watch our bullpens.
Yeah.
That's another topic for another day.
Yes, absolutely.
But no, you get your routine in. So after batting practice, I loved hopping in the shower right away and getting clean and getting in my uniform, because there's that. I just want to be prepared and ready and focused, because this is what I'm here to do. It's not eat food. It's not be the first one to spread. I need to get myself prepared for this game. I need to get a lineup card. I kept track of. I couldn't watch our hitters. Right, the Giants were, and I'm going to offend some people here, aside from Matt Duffy and maybe Mac Williamson coming up, our hitters were just tough. It was not a hitting organization. So I didn't enjoy watching our hitters. Plus, who can watch every hour of every baseball game? Just not possible. So I would keep a lineup card of, who our pitchers were facing, what guys were swinging, who was a left-handed bat, where my outs were. Because I wanted to be able to come into that game and, hey, I got a slap hitter that's, number 9, but the number 1 hole hitter is a righty, and he swings first pitch and he's 0 for 2. The 9 hole hitter, right, you don't ever want to walk the 9 hole.
Right.
But you know what? He's hot. He's hot.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not giving him a cookie, and I'm all right walking him. And then being able to speak to that after the game, right? Like it's one thing to say, hey, I walked the 9 hole hitter. Yeah, you're going to get yelled at. But if you say, hey, I walked the 9 hole hitter because I'm better against right-handed bats and he's struggling and this guy's hot and I wasn't feeling it, didn't want to give it up, and that's being prepared for your job and understanding where your outs are, and then helping other guys. Hey, you got right, left, and that guy's a righty, he doesn't want to see the lefty either. Or, the lefty's coming in. Hey, you've got left, right, left. Like, okay, you've got, you got to get your first guy and then your second guy situationally, you might want to be careful with, because you got 2 more guys that, are your matchup.
So to kind of like add into that, okay, so we figured out overall you hated the slap hitter model. Lefties weren't your favorite. Power hitting righties, you love facing. Who was like your favorite guy overall to go up against that like, yeah, this guy's sitting down?
So 2 guys. I had a power lefty in Dylan Thomas. He had some time up with Seattle. I love facing him. We had an epic battle. I actually was swearing at him in the box. And then we were teammates my final year in Oakland. Just kind of how baseball works, right? Like, we know of each other. We don't hold any ill will after the fact, but you remember stuff. Franklin Barreto was my favorite. I owned Franklin. Franklin was just a free power swinging, and he was good. He was good. Don't get me wrong. And I liked it because he was good. Like, he was dangerous, but you had to be on your stuff. But he kind of fit my MO, right? Like, Latin kid, wanted to chase sliders. I wanted to induce sliders, and I'd sink it in on his hands. Tyler O'Neill was another one that I liked facing too. Like, dude, I mean, I remember he hit 505 bench like an hour and a half before the game. Like, it was just bam. And I was like, holy cow, what is going on here? And they're like, yeah, his dad's Mr. Canada. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Holy shit.
That's wild.
And he's standing up there and he's got, almost kind of that Moises Alou, stance with his arms out. And he's chest, and he's like 12 feet away from the home plate, right? Just baiting you to throw that ball outside.
Yeah.
Just baiting you. And I was like, no, I'm going to throw it 6 inches inside, because you want that, but you don't want that. So there was that chess match with him that was always great. Like, it's fun, when you see hitters each year and then you get into these series, like, yeah, there's a certain guy to where you're like, man, I can't wait till he comes up. I own his ass. Like, and then there's other guys where you're like, I cannot do anything in my power to get this guy out. Dante Bichette Jr. was one of them. Yeah. Not a good bat, but he had so many
Bo's brother?
Bo's brother. I had no
Oh.
problem with Bo. I saw Bo in Spring, owned Bo, but his brother just gave me fits, man, and it was
Really?
just broken bats. Just he walked me off twice in low A ball in Charleston, back-to-back nights on broken bat singles.
That's
Just flare
so
job.
annoying. It
Oh,
has
it's
to
the
be the
worst.
worst. Yeah.
It's the worst. I don't think there's anything more frustrating for a pitcher than to like execute a pitch, get a result, and it's just not there, right? Like it's just a bad break, and that's the game of baseball. And there's times where you're like, oh, I grooved a cookie, and he absolutely unloaded and missed it by that
Just
much,
that
and it was a
much.
pop out. But yeah, when it's visible on your end, you're kind of like, oh, so
That's, yeah.
frustrating.
Wish I could have that back. All right. We're about to wrap up. Got 2 more questions for you. The first one, best game you ever pitched. Is there one in your head where you're like, this is my creme de la creme, top of the line one that I've had?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple outings in San Jose that were pretty just magical. Where I think I had an outing where I just sat 98 to 100, and I threw 12 pitches, and it was 3 punchies, and it was just cupcakes and rainbows. I almost had a perfect call in Danbury. We did a lot of visualization work with me and Corey, and I said, I'm visualizing a 9-pitch punchy golden sombrero, just the perfect
Immaculate.
outing.
Yeah.
He's like, that's good luck with that. Like, because I had walk issues. He's like, it's a great goal. I went 10 pitches and 3 punchies.
Damn.
So
You probably
that
walk
was
back and
one
you're
off.
like, what's up? I did it.
yeah. And he's like, you were off, and I was like, yeah, but that was still pretty sick, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
Like,
that's the
piss
stuff
off.
that like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who those hitters were. It was just more or less like, calling a shot with your boys. Like, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Anytime you have those experiences where you're like, this is what I'm doing, and your plan actually works, there's nothing more fun. I remember I was really close with Christian Arroyo, and I remember like, hey, we're in a close ball game. I was like, I'm getting a double play. I need you to get out of this. I'm kind of struggling with my accuracy. I'm going to get you a double play. Like, and he makes an incredible play in the hole, bam, double play, and I'm carrying him off the field.
Yeah. My guy.
Because I'm so pumped up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Last question for you. This is an argument that we've had on this podcast for quite a while. I don't think it's possible. Mike thinks he's fucking Barry Bonds or something.
Fuck, here we go.
All right. So 100 pitches, like in your prime, do you think given 100 pitches, either of us could put a ball in play?
No.
That's what I'm saying. There's no shot.
Well, no, to the point.
In my prime, is it 100 straight? Because I'm fatiguing. Like,
no, like
you might-
I'm
No,
saying
we're just talking.
yeah. Because there's a debate on that. Like, hey, if it's 100 in a row, I don't have the stamina I'm not throwing 100 pitches, so you're
Right.
getting me. I'm running out of gas.
No,
But if you're walking up and we give
like,
you a couple simulated
imagine you're a pitch machine and your arm isn't. There's no fatigue. Like
Yeah.
your sliders are on no fatigue and you're just throwing it. I don't think we can. I really
goes
don't.
back to like the debate that we would always debate in our locker room, especially with my brother playing in the NFL, was, hey, if I put pads on and I had 10 rushes, could I get 3 yards?
No.
And I was like, no.
Yeah, you're getting eaten
There's
up.
guys, when you look at it, there's guys in the NFL that like they get those rushes and they still don't get those yards. Like,
Yeah.
and plus, like you may get 3 yards and then they may get through the hole and you might not get back up again.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I got hit by my brother, I'm not getting back up again. Like I'm being honest. Vince Wilfork hits me, I'm
Fuck
not
that.
getting back up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just think the intimidation factor too, like it's different. When you see 100 and you hear 100, it's a completely different ball game. I worked out at Fisher and we would have the football guys as we start ramping up go over by the bullpens and they're like, hell no, these are professional athletes and they get hit by grown men and they want no part of that because that ball sails, you are not going to feel good. Something's breaking, your jaw, your skull, your ribs, your wrist, like things break.
I was gonna say you throw a sweet one in on the hands. It's like I'm like fuck this. I'm going home, dude.
Yeah, right. Well, to the point. So Vince always busts my balls about this question, but the initial argument was exactly that. Do we think it's easier to get 5 yards rushing in the NFL or hit a
Neither.
100-mile-an-hour fastball?
Or
Neither are
make a shot at
probably
NBA game.
possible.
Or make a shot in the
I mean, the
NBA game.
100
Or
mile,
make
the
a
100. I think the 100-mile-an-hour fastball is easier from the sheer standpoint of like its timing. Like, so if you honestly you get 100, you might be able to just if they're just throwing heaters, right? If you know there's just heaters, you're going to be able to time something up. The minute we start mixing stuff, now you've got to
South.
worry about what
Yeah.
pitches are doing. No, but if we're just talking, you got 100 heaters straight on. Yeah, you're. I would hope you've had baseball experience. Like you're going to
Yeah.
time it up eventually. Like it's just
I
going to
don't
take a
know.
minute. It's like riding a bike. I really do
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah.
Like I think you work your way up. I wouldn't just do it cold turkey, but I think it could be done.
No.
You've seen
Sure.
people step in and have some success if you got decent hand eye. The football, I don't know, like because those holes close so fast
Yeah.
that if you miss that hole, I mean, you've seen guys that are college running backs that can't hack it. So I don't know about being a random Joe. Just that speed difference in the NFL is insane.
Give me 5
Yeah.
Trent Williams and I'm just drafting behind him all the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, who's your offensive line?
Right.
So, I mean, Ian, you explained your brother plays in the NFL. Can you kind of go into a little bit about, the team he's on, what he plays, all that good stuff?
Yeah, my brother was an undrafted rookie free agent, no draft databases.
Damn.
5th year D2 grad transfer. He's not supposed to be there. He is just completed year 6 in the NFL. Crazy to think.
Badass.
Started out as a special teams kind of middle linebacker fill, and they were plagued with a bunch of edge rush injuries. Chandler Jones and guys went down, and they were like, hey, you know what? Why not? You seem to be getting it done on special teams. Let's see if this works. And he just went ham. He had like 7 or 8 sacks and 80 snaps. It's still, I think, an NFL record for most like sacks in a short amount of span. Ended up with an injury, but he's still with Arizona. He led the team this year with 6.
Good for him.
Next year, if he gets the team captain nod, he'll be a 5th-year team captain with the Golden Sea. I mean, it's just wild to think about, right? An undrafted guy didn't have the prototypical story. He's completely undersized for his position, right? To be an edge, you think of guys 6'2", 260, 6'3", Chandler Jones.
Just physical monsters. Yeah.
Big guys. He's 6'1", like 230, 235.
These are the guys we root for, honestly. These are the guys we root for.
Yes,
Yeah,
maybe
he's your
one day on
lunch
the pod.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's your lunch pail guy, right? Like these are your meat and potato guys. It's nice when you meet people that do it from your hometown, right? Because it goes back to where the origin started. It's just that for kids, this is attainable. It's if you make it a dream, it'll always stay a dream, right? Because dreams don't come true, goals do.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer in that. If you make goals, you will achieve them. If you make them dreams, they're too far out of reach, and people don't like to go through a ton of pain for something that's out of reach. So, it's just if you can be a light for somebody that, hey, I want to be a sounding board for, hey, I know that Ian guy, he did it. He's from my area. It might not be easy, but it's a possibility.
Your point, brother. I think it's truly an inspiration to hear people like you say that, and that's the whole thing. Vince and I have been trying to preach from day one. We're nothing too crazy. We're just 2 guys from the same town trying to make our goals happen and become real life, and we're getting there. And we really appreciate you taking the time out today. We know you're very much so a part of the local Scottsdale and Arizona communities and what you do. Do you kind of want to take a moment and explain your role and what you do and what you try and help people do?
Yeah, so I've transitioned into residential real estate. I like to advise people on, making one of the biggest decisions of their life, right? The middle class develops their wealth from real estate. So I understand the importance of making a smart financial decision. I understand the importance of neighborhoods and schools. So I wanted to be able to help people and not have to deal with ticker tape, not have to say, oh, I don't know if I can get this promo idea approved. Residential real estate allows me to just run my own things and take care of my own people and provide a white glove service to everybody. I'm at Sotheby's Russ Lyon Camelback Tower location. We do specialize in luxury real estate, but we provide a luxury experience at all price points. So whether you're selling your $300,000 condo, which if you know of any of those in the area, I would love to know about it because they're going to go quick. I don't think you can find anything at that price point, or all the way up to, we've got 14 to $20 million properties listed with the company. So we have access to the auction house, which is pretty cool. So say you've got a card collection that you're looking to get up on Sotheby's auction as you move. That's something that I can provide and help facilitate and get you into the auction house.
Nice.
But it's been an incredible transition. It's just baseball changes and it leaves, and it does leave a hole, right? I will acknowledge that baseball was such a passion, man, and it will always have a place in my heart. And then you transition into real estate, and I like to say, from closing out games to closing out deals, let me take the pressure off your hands. I'm used to dealing with those situations. I love cutting my teeth on stress and getting things done and doing stuff that most people can't. So I'm here to help people find homes and investment properties, whatever they're looking for. I'm just here to help support them.
Love it, man. Well, we thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us today. This will not be the last time we do this. We have so much more to talk about in the future. And we really appreciate you being here, brother. Thank you so much. And, I always say nothing happens by mistake. So meeting on a random and we just also happen to be from the same place is truly special. And we'll look forward to doing this with you again, Ian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. Two tremendous guys. Just it's really a blessing to be around two fun sports fans that love the game, love the story, because everyone's got one, and they're telling guys stories, right? Because everybody's got a story to tell that's unique, that's different, that's good and bad, right? And the more people that you get to share their story, you realize, we're no different. Put on our pants the same way. We go through the same emotional struggles. So appreciate you guys letting me tell part of my story, and I look forward to talking to you guys again.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much. And we'll see you here soon.
Thank you again to Ian for coming on the pod. I hope you enjoyed that interview. More of those are coming your way. That is a promise and a desire of ours. So,
big moves. Big moves.
Before we finish out today, we got some other sports to touch on. We got our guy, or is he our guy, Justin Fields?
Maybe.
He unfollowed the Bears. He wants to be done. I know. Tragedy. When it happened. Okay. First question of this. How do you figure that out? Is someone's just watching?
Really bored.
Every day they're just like, Justin Fields, Chicago Bears. Oh, he doesn't follow him anymore. Or does he tell somebody that so like it gets stirred up?
No. I mean, his dog Uno also unfollowed the Bears.
Oh, that's even worse.
When your dog decides, fuck this team, I'm not following him anymore. That's how you know.
That's
when
true.
Those cute little fuzzy fucks like unfollow.
I don't like bears anymore, like dogs. I mean, he was a Georgia Bulldog and he became a Ohio State Buckeye. So I don't know how that connects, but
yeah, I mean, a Buckeye is a nut.
Yeah, and he's not nuts for unfollowing.
Delicious dessert you would eat around the Thanksgiving time period. Either way, Justin Fields says he's sick of it, and we're, kind of paraphrasing here. But
he went on the St. Brown podcast.
Yeah, that's the only thing Aquaminius is good at.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra, I called on this podcast.
You did
3 years ago that he was going to be an absolute fucking dog. And I was correct.
Yeah.
You know what? This is why, if you're hearing us, Chicago Bears, you may want to give me some insight
Yeah, so our entire team is just USC Trojans.
So
We might
we'd
have
be
another
good
one.
half the time.
We might have another one.
Speaking of which, that's what this hubbub is all about, right? All the speculation right now, which you've heard this on this podcast
Yeah.
for the past 2 months.
We're
and
adding
you're
to
probably
it.
going to continue to hear about it the next 2 months. So
Yeah.
buckle up, people, because we ain't finished. But he's tired of this talk of, are they trading him? Are they not? Are they keeping him? Are they going to trade the pick? Are they going to keep the pick? Are they going to do that? Okay. I don't blame him. It's infuriating. Who's to say, though, Caleb Williams is the 100% lock of a pick
He's not.
for the Chicago Bears?
Well, Merrill Hodge said, no, he's not that guy.
Yeah, I don't know what Merrill Hodge does anymore, but Merrill Hodge actually he kind of knows what the fuck he's talking about. I'll give him that much.
Yeah, but he was a big Trubisky and Zach Wilson guy, so it's always a
Yeah,
toss.
that's true. So you have two that you called out, Jadeveon Clowney. Not a very good call out. Jadeveon Clowney's been quite good in his career, so just saying.
True.
And then you called out Mansell, which was the easiest call out ever, even though
Yeah.
fucking Skip Bayless was just like, I think he's generational.
And he's always right.
Yeah. Always, babe. Either way, it was one of those situations where I was thinking about this on the airplane today. Like, okay, what if there's a scenario in a world
In a
where
world.
in a world. Never mind.
Okay.
So, with that, in this world where the Bears trade the pick to the second pick and then take Drake May, what if that happens?
Bad. Don't want.
Why?
Because we've done this.
Why?
We took the beautiful
Why?
white boy from North Carolina and it didn't work, and I don't
How
want
do
it
you know?
again.
But I'm just saying he's not Mitch. He is so much bigger than Mitch. Like his sub archetype is more so of Josh Allen than it is of anyone. And Josh Allen is great in Buffalo, similar climate, very cold, windy, shitty weather.
Yeah.
What if you traded that pick to Washington for a haul? You take Drake May and you trade Justin Fields.
I mean,
and you
he
get
could,
something for him.
he could be Josh Allen or he could be Jake Locker.
Paxton Lynch.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, like, I don't know. I would prefer
No,
to
it's
take,
always a catch-22.
Yeah.
But what you going to do? You know, I'm just saying it's one of those situations where you got to pay attention because it
Yeah.
could happen. But I truly believe Justin gets traded.
Yep.
Now, if he wants to be traded, I don't think they're really going to give him much say as where he can go.
Mm-mm.
But where do you think he goes? Let's talk about this again.
Atlanta.
All right.
Depends on what they
See,
want to give
I
us,
could
but
I could see a team like I could really see New England going, maybe.
yeah,
But then again,
he wants to
Who
trade.
knows?
He wants to draft his guy, though. Didn't he say that in that whole interview? He's like, "We're
Oh,
going to draft
yeah.
a very good guy in a very important position." I'll let you read between the lines. It's like not hard to read,
like
Jared.
Donald Trump is a GM. We're gonna
Yeah.
take the best guy around
In the most important position.
in the most important position in the world. It's the best position. They asked me why couldn't I play the position. I said I just couldn't. Either way, I think it's gonna be a sneaky team like the Steelers. Like the odds right
Yeah.
now, if you look at gambling, is minus 250 that Russell Wilson goes to the Steelers.
What? They traded
Now
the
there's also
Steelers?
minus 125 odds that Justin Fields goes to the Steelers. So we'll
So
see.
they're giving up on Kenny and going Justin. I mean, it's not a horrible idea, honestly. I'd take Justin Fields over Kenny Pickett.
Supposedly, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, what's his name?
Mike Tomlin, his name is.
Mike Tomlin. Knew it was a Mike. It just really loves Justin.
Yeah, he's a
Fields.
brand new coach.
I think Fields in Pittsburgh would be great, and you can get rid of him,
Yeah.
and you'll never see him again. And good riddance.
Maybe that's just the Bears to Steelers pipeline. It's just constantly like,
Yeah, there's a
high
lot of
draft
pipeline.
pick, go to Steelers. High draft pick, go to Steelers. Caleb
Yeah.
Williams, Steeler in 2028.
I hope not. I do believe that Caleb will be successful at the next
I do
level.
too.
If you
I
really
do
break
too.
down all the tape and everything that he knows what it's like to be a fucking millionaire already.
Yeah.
So he's not going to worry about making it to the league and being. It's not like he's going to get into a bunch of money and let it
Blow
go to
it.
his head. He's
Yeah.
already got a bunch of money.
It's already in his head.
It's already in his head.
That's
You
the
know,
biggest
it's like,
concern, though.
Can we talk about that for like 3 seconds? Can you believe that this fucking guy, millionaire in college,
Yeah.
still playing with guys who are, trying to make the fucking scout team
Yeah.
at USC and on student loans and scholarship and shit like that and eating fucking ramen twice a week. And he's just chilling in his penthouse.
Yeah.
Banging hoes. Banging whores.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean that's the reality of the situation, but what's really the difference between that and like a practice squad guy and fucking Tom Brady, or whatever it may be. Like
I get it, but to the point, now he gets to the next level and everybody's a millionaire almost.
Right. Which is I mean the guys that he's going to be mostly working with, yeah, for sure.
And we'll have our mock draft. We always do a top 10. And in years past, one year we did a full-blown mock draft, and we were on this show for like 4 hours.
That was the sweatiest time I've ever had. I'm like, who is this guy? They're like, he's going to draft the backup tight end on Iowa. And you're like, who the fuck is this? And you're like, oh, it's Dalton Kincaid. Thank you. It's like, what are you doing?
All right, so my pick is Fugishi Awagashi.
That's
who?
Truly, that's the worst part. Is trying to pronounce some of the guys. You're like, I've never heard of them, and for some reason, I think that the Bills are gonna draft this random outside linebacker.
Some of these fucking corn-fed Kenyan kids who fucking get to the NFL
and
have these goofy fucking tribal names.
Dude, it's more so the fucking Samoan, Hawaiian guys.
Oh yeah, like the Pene Afagalus and
shit. Or like when Tua
Pene
came in, it's like, what are we doing right now? I don't know what's going on. Tua's brother might get drafted. Maybe we put that in there just as a little brain or tongue twister.
Speculate.
Yeah,
we'll speculate. But everybody's talking about the ninth pick is interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this a little bit this week. If they took another wide receiver, not necessarily named Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Are you about that life? Because I'm a little bit about that fucking life.
Yeah. What's his fucking name?
Roma Dunze?
Yes. I'd be cool.
Roma Dunze.
I'd be cool with that.
Malik Neighbors?
Malik Neighbors, yeah, for LSU. I would want Rome, I would say. But again, there's a lot of time between then and now. And I'm trying to see some of those intangibles. Or rather the tangibles, speed and all that stuff. But I mean, Roma Dunze is the fastest guy that's a wide receiver out of the three of them at the least, so.
Roma Dunze just reminds me a lot of his route running and capability of Devontae Adams. Like, that guy is a crisp route runner, great hands, maybe a little bit faster than Devontae even, but just wow.
I mean, he looks like Chase Young. I don't know if you've ever seen his draft picture.
He does kind of look like a dumbed down Chase Young.
Like a skinnier, not as bulky Chase Young. Yeah.
Yeah. Skinnier, not as bulky Chase Young, but dude, the guy is a freak.
Agreed.
And if he drops to 9, I don't know if he's going to be there. But my whole thing is is Malik Neighbors just as good?
Yeah.
Because Malik Neighbors reminds me a lot of Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, which, in case you didn't know, is pretty good at football.
Pretty fucking good.
I would not be against them going for an offensive lineman too, though. Because
what if you have a higher grade on an offensive lineman on the second or third day, like
which is good. I mean, they're going to have to draft 2 to 3 offensive linemen.
I will give credit to Ryan Pace, Poles, PTSD.
Don't give credit to that guy.
Gunshot. I will give credit to Poles. He can draft offensive linemen particularly well.
Yeah, because you are one, you can find one. Is Ryan Pace is in Atlanta, correct?
Ryan Pace is in Atlanta, or was, and I think he's gone now because
is he? Oh, because everything turned around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's back with the Saints organization. He's back with his boy Mickey.
He's
Mickey Loomis.
He's nowhere right now, according to this. I was gonna say if he's with Atlanta, then Fields to Atlanta.
Oh God,
over.
when he would be in press conferences talking about, I want us to be an elite football team. We're going to play hard. We're going to do this. Mitch Trubisky. Kevin White. Oh, God.
Kevin White. No. I don't. Okay, let's
Kevin
not harp
White.
on the bad times. Let's look forward to the new bad times. It's going to be good for us. We're all
Let's
going to
talk
enjoy.
about the good times.
Yeah.
The best of times. All right, let's talk about
The
the
NBA
NBA
All-Star game.
game.
Bro,
I
did
didn't
you
even
catch
know
any
it
of
was
this?
on. No.
Yeah. Okay. So, first off, no one watched it. So, that's the first thing. Adam Silver said, hey, we're going to put on a whole entire game, and it's going to be very exciting and all this stuff. He said that before. I mean, it was lip service. You watch the game, and it is brutal. Like, yeah, cool things happen. It's kind of fun that the good guys are playing against each other, but no one plays defense. You're watching, like, a horrible exhibition where people are trying to do, like, backwards flip trick shots and all this BS. The three-point contest is still fun. The Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu, that was cool. I enjoyed that. That was fun. The dunk contest was horrible. And I have a take, and I don't know if we talked about it on here, but I believe that LeBron James single-handedly ruined the dunk contest. And here's why.
Okay.
LeBron James was the first elite prospect guy that comes in, slamma-jamma, young, talented, all that stuff. The first guy, if you're comparing him to like the Jordans and the Kobes, Jordan comes in, Jordan does a dunk contest. Kobe comes in, Kobe does the dunk contest. Kind of a rite of passage. LeBron skips it and essentially sets a precedent like, you don't have to do this anymore. This is beneath you. Let the other guys do it. And it's kind of true because since then it's gone down, down, down. Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, very cool, but not the top prospect guys. Now we're looking at Jaylen Brown had probably the worst dunk contest. Like, the shit he was doing, he jumped over Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat's like 5'3". You're like, every NBA player is able to do this shit. And then, dude, I don't know. All I'm saying is that Mac McClung can't participate in every dunk contest because he's not even on an NBA team. He's on the G League. Get a guy that's a premier player that comes in, does something cool, and that's highlight worthy instead
Remember
of
when we went
everything.
to a G League game, Vince?
We did. I do. The Windy City
Great
Bulls.
times, man.
Yeah, like the
We
local
had a
Girl
great
Scout
day.
troop was there, and me and Mike.
Yeah, and we were there, and there was like, it's like it's halftime. All right, the local Girl Scout troop's gonna do a little dance. We're like,
Yeah.
we feel really weird.
This
now.
is weird. I need to go. Yeah, let's come back.
You did get a free. You got a free fry from Mickey D's, and you
Yep.
also got a free Big Mac.
Yeah,
But it is cool to watch lower level guys. I feel like
I enjoy
they
it.
play a lot more defense, and it was a good time for $10 a ticket. Where the fuck you going?
yeah. There was more hunger to it, which is cool. You see guys that are trying their best to make it up there.
Yeah, they're trying. They're trying their absolute hardest to make it. So
I don't know. So this is a thing with every sport, but the All-Star games, the Pro Bowls, everything's been kind of ruined, essentially. The MLB All-Star game is kind of fun, but you don't no longer have to play for anything. Like,
right, like this is the issue with All-Star games in general.
yeah,
You look at where they went from the time we were kids.
yeah,
Right, in the early 2000s was probably like the
it
dream
was sick.
era
Yeah.
of all All-Star games.
But is this
'cause
us
it was like the
being
thing you
old
look
men
forward
screaming at clouds, though? Like, is it
Damn
like
it.
'cause we're older? Yeah. These
Damn
kids
it,
don't
dunk the
understand.
basketball.
You should have seen back in the day when I was a kid.
to? Back in my day, they used to jump over Kias.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Anyways.
Blake Griffin jumped over a Kia when I was a young man.
He jumped over a Kia. He wore a cape. Damn it! Get out there and do it
Yeah,
again.
Dwight
used
Howard
to
was a dog in him. Like, it was so fun. And I don't know.
used to play NBA Live, and in NBA Live 2001, you could do the dunk contest,
Yeah.
and the guys were literally doing gymnastics.
Yeah.
Like you could throw the ball off the backboard, do a full somersault, jump 10 feet in the air,
Yeah.
and would douche.
And if you time
Um,
it properly and tap enough buttons, it goes in.
Yeah, that was a button mashing fest.
Yeah,
You're like,
for
holy
sure.
shit, it worked.
Yeah.
But it was like not believable, but fun. But to
Right.
the point, the dunk contests back then were awesome. I loved them. You look forward to LeBron being in them. You look forward to Kobe being in them. MJ jumping from the fucking free throw
Yeah.
line. Come on.
It's cool.
Now it's just like low level dudes, Max McClung. It's just like, watch the white
Which-
boy jump.
Which, yeah, he's very
Wow,
good
he
at dunking.
can jump. Wow.
Yeah, like once you get to that point, just go on Instagram and find the best dunker and then just have him come in. Like a guy that only dunks. Like that's essentially what they're doing. Is it something that it's lost its mystique and we're just doing like it's essentially lip service for everybody, or have we seen every dunk and there's not really anything else that anybody can do?
Well,
because we've seen a lot of dunks.
That's fine, and I know you're going to have new reiterations of things year after year after
Yeah.
year. That's fine. I do believe, though, that it's still fun. You'd pay far more attention if Vince Carter was in, if guys like
Yeah,
let's
Vince Carter
face
did it too. Yeah, there you go. There's another one.
If Zach LaVine was in the game, if, what's the guy on the Timberwolves that everybody loves?
Anthony
Porter?
Edwards would be so good. So
Anthony
good for them.
Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns,
Ja
for
Morant.
sure.
Ja Morant.
Ja Morant.
Dog.
He's not being a gangster.
Yeah. Hey, he's been a good
This guy's
boy
a
this
gangster.
year,
His real name's Clarence.
okay? Listen, that's allowed. At the end of the day, I don't think All-Star games are ever going to be that good anymore. I think, honestly, as much as we hated on it, I feel like the NFL kind of pivoted correctly, and they were like, let's just make it like a fun, stupid event.
Let's just make it a
that
fun,
kids-
silly day.
Yeah.
Celeb All-Star game, blah, blah, blah. Cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they did the Celebrity All-Star game, and half of the celebrities no one knew.
Well, like, at least Kobe used to bring, R.I.P. Kobe. Kobe to the NBA All-Star game used to bring competition and actually play defense. These guys, Kobe said it best, the All-Star game, he goes, anymore, these guys would play harder at a UCLA pickup game.
Well, and this is, so earlier when we were talking about everybody being all chummy and friends, like that's a thing too, is like back in the day, and a lot of these guys said it, and again, I don't want to be an angry man yelling at clouds, but a lot of them were like, listen, if they were on a different team, we didn't like them. Or like when the U.S. went to the Olympics and Kobe like knocked down Pau Gasol and didn't help him up. He's like, we're not teammates right now. In the NBA, it's like, oh, like I'll be on your team next year, so I'm going to get all nice and happy with you now, and then we can move from there, So, you all right?
Yeah. I'm here. Sorry, wife.
So
Sorry.
wife life, baby.
Sorry, wife life.
Wife life.
Yeah, no, with all that being said, I don't disagree. I think it's just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the game was going on, and
I
usually
know.
this is a legit hoe fest.
Yeah.
Like all the Instagram hoes are there, but it was in Indiana, right?
Mm-hmm. Which,
What the fuck?
they did a lot of cool like Pacers tribute, old stuff, whatever. That's just kinda
Are the hoes going out to the cornfields looking for that corn daddy D?
yeah.
Like, so wait, you
Are
want
they?
a farm? You want a farm? Wow.
You want a cow tap?
Oh my god.
That's. I feel
So
like that's
wait,
some
you
shit
can't-
I feel like that's some shit that I would say. I
You
feel
can't. You're rubbing off on me, Vince.
like, corn daddy.
That corn daddy dick. And then, like, are they just like, oh, it's like, so you have courtside seats? Or-
Cool. I love
I
Tyrese
know, but
Halliburton.
we go to a rodeo. Fucking Indiana.
True.
I mean, Indiana used to be so Hoosier,
Mm-hmm.
no pun intended, that when Spike Williams showed up to Indiana during I think it was the 92 or 93 finals when the
Yeah.
Pacers played the Knicks, like they showed up in like clan outfits and shit. And they were like, yeah, like back then it was still known that the Indiana, but man, they were still, that's where the KKK was found. And they were like, it was aggressive. Go watch that 30 for 30, by the way.
There's stories of which one, the Hoosier country or whatever the hell it was called.
No, it was it's Reggie versus Spike.
Oh,
It's where Reggie Miller hit like 4 threes in a row in 13 seconds.
wasn't that in 1999?
No, that was early 90s.
Because they went to one, I think, again in late
No,
90s.
I think it was it was 91 or either 93 or 94 because Jordan wasn't in the league and that was your chance.
Oh, well, no, the Rockets went for 2 years.
Right, the Rockets did go, but the Knicks played
Right.
the Rockets.
Got
right?
it. Coming together. 94, 95, I think is the year.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I think you just got to be more competitive at the end of the day. And if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. It is what it is. But more Isaiah Stewart's, less, Indiana in the 90s. But there's stories about Utah, too. Like, Steven Jackson has said it plenty of times. Like, Utah is You don't want to go there. He's like, I've heard a lot of things from them that I don't need to hear again. So,
You know what did happen over the weekend, Vince, but it got
What?
rained out and they pushed it to Monday night. But
oh, Daytona 500.
fucking Daytona 500 happened
Yep.
over the weekend, and it was a beautiful day.
How did that go?
William Byron won. It's getting to a point where I don't know these fucking guys anymore. It's like, oh, Sus Garmosa won the race. Oh, great. But I caught the highlights. I can't watch a full race anymore. You
Yeah.
know, if I go to a race, that's fine. But I love the first 20 laps and I love the last 20 laps
Yeah.
of a NASCAR race.
Right.
I feel like that's the fun, and they tried to make it more fun with the heats and the this and the. It's fine, but ultimately these cars are great, and these
Mhm.
guys are driving really great right now. Alex Bowman and William Byron. I mean, truly, these guys are becoming like names in their sport. Chase Elliott, to me, is probably the best driver
He's the
in
guy,
the sport overall. And he's got the lineage, he's got the background. His dad was Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott's arguably one of the greatest NASCAR drivers to ever do it. Bill Elliott, fun fact, first man to ever go 200 miles an hour in a NASCAR.
Really?
Fun fact.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
One thing I did learn
Yeah, what's
from
that?
Daytona 500 this
What's that?
year, Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin own a team together.
Yeah, I could see that.
And Denny
Yeah.
Hamlin doesn't race for that team.
Well, I mean,
He
hey,
races
that's-
for
that's
Gibbs
good
still.
It's
He's
good
like, I bought a
business, baby.
team. Yeah, there was an interview. He's like, I bought a team, and then I still race for Gibbs. So in the best way possible, I come in first, and then my team comes in second and third. I'm like, that's such a weird. That's like MJ owning the Wizards and still playing for the Bulls. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't know how you get rid of that loophole, but he's setting himself up. And,
It's fine,
you know,
yeah.
unfortunately, Bubba Wallace
Yeah,
is doing good. Because
I like Bubba Wallace. I'll come out and say it. He's a funny little guy.
Don't be saying that. Don't be saying that out in the open, buddy.
Not in Indiana. Yeah. I think
No.
one thing that we can get into NASCAR is maybe a little more tolerance because that shit was wild when all that was going around. I'm like, this is fucked up kind of.
Yeah, no. So it's just like he's just a crybaby. That's my whole thing.
Little bit, a touch
He's-
of it.
Do you know his dad, or not his dad, but his like uncle is Rusty Wallace?
Don't know who that is.
That's where he got the Wallace last name from.
Rusty Wallace.
Rusty Wallace used to drive the Miller Light car, buddy.
See,
Number 2. And
NASCAR.
Rusty
whoosh.
Wallace was a fucking legend.
Okay.
Your dad knows who Rusty Wallace is.
I'm sure he
Hey, Dad,
does.
who's Rusty Wallace? You know, that's when they had good names in NASCAR like Rusty
Yep.
and Ward
Dale.
and Dale.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, some of the
Tony
greatest
Stewart.
Hilljack shit. Well, Tony Stewart
I
is
know, he's
Tony
way later.
Zippadelli.
Is he
Tony
actually?
Stewart is, I believe, I have a theory on Tony Stewart, the NASCAR driver. So Tony Stewart had a crew chief, a guy by the name of Greg Zippadelli.
Okay. How you doing?
They looked exactly alike.
Okay.
The theory is, okay, that Tony Stewart was in witness protection
Oh.
as Tony Stewart, and his brother was Greg Zippadelli. Greg wasn't mobbed up, so Greg chose a different last name to stay in the Italian circle. Okay.
Oh.
Tony decided to go the other way because he had to be accepted by all the fucking rednecks, right? Stewart's a lot more easy to explain than Zippadelli.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, Tony Zippadelli, in theory, Tony Stewart. I'm telling you.
They call each other brothers. They
Think
say
ab-
they're good friends. Some might say.
Someone's eating pasta.
How
on
you
Sunday.
doing, Mr.
How
Zippadelli?
you
Tell me what you doing right now. That's all
And
I'm
then-
saying.
And then on top of that, okay,
Okay.
killed the guy.
Yeah, that did happen.
On purpose, but he killed the guy.
Yeah, that was a big whoopsie daisy. Yeah.
Whoop.
So, moral of the story: don't kill people, everybody. Speaking of a career that got killed completely, Wander Franco is back in the news, bud. Wander Franco, Jeff Passan releases a news story with new details about Wander Franco, and it showed what's the app that people use that to text
WhatsApp?
each other? WhatsApp.
What's
Thank
that?
you.
What's
thank you.
that?
He was
Well, the
sending
immigrants.
WhatsApp to, and for people that don't remember, Wander Franco, kicked out of the MLB right now. He had a relationship with like a 14-year-old in the Dominican Republic. Real gross stuff. WhatsApp messages came out way grosser than you thought. Extremely manipulating. I'm not going to read the whole
One
thing
could
'cause it's
even-
gross, but check it out if you
One
want to.
could say grooming.
Yeah. Oh, considerably. He was saying stuff like, you're mine. I'm going to raise you correctly. Like weird shit like that. Like gross. And then at the end, he said, if my team realizes this, it could cause a lot of problems for me. It is a rule for all teams that we cannot talk to minors. And yet I took the risk and I loved it.
He said that?
Yeah. He said in his WhatsApp to this girl. Gross. Get him out of
Well,
here.
he's
Gross.
never gonna play in the MLB ever again.
Done.
He'll be playing in the Panama City Jail League.
Yep.
Wow.
He went from
And
first
he
to
said
worst.
he loved, and now you can't deny anything. He said he loved every minute of it.
Right. And he took the risk and he knew it and like all this shit. And like he went to the Rays and then she started dating somebody else and he started getting gross about it, even though she's a child and you're a grown man, you sick kid.
Do you think as he's sending these text messages, he's got like R. Kelly's trapped in the closet playing in the background?
Probably, man.
7 o'clock in the morning, the rays from the sun wakes me.
What they eat don't make me shit. He's just like, real talk.
Real talk. Oh,
Listen.
bitch, I wish you would burn my motherfucking clothes.
Listen,
I'm going to raise you right.
funny as it is, at the end of the day, it is unbelievably gross. And
Wait. Have you ever seen the video of R. Kelly like recruiting women from Ethiopia in
no,
a concert that he did?
no. Oh,
It's
no.
like, oh, look it up. And can we play it? Let's play it.
Okay, this is going to take
Can
me
we
a
play
second.
it?
Maybe.
Can we play it?
Maybe.
Just type in R. Kelly Ethiopia, and
Oh,
he's
God.
like, "Do you have your shots? Do you? Have
Oh, I
your
have
passport?
seen
Do
this.
you wanna
Do you have
come
your
to America?"
passport? Yeah. He's like, do you have your shot?
That's Wander Franco.
It literally is. It
Do
literally
you
is.
wanna to America? Play it. Please
I don't
play
know
it.
if it's going to let me share it on here.
Why?
I got to figure it because it's going to go full screen.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
I can edit it in after. Do
All right,
you
he's
have your
editing it
shot?
after. Do you have a house?
That's so bad.
Do you wanna come back with Robert
That is
to
sick.
America?
R. Kelly, bad guy, artist from art, or art from artist. There's a couple bangers in there. Wander Franco, never coming back to the MLB again. From first
No.
best prospect to worst best prospect. But there's other guys in the MLB that need to get paid, Mike. And
There
there's other
is,
guys,
Vince.
There's other guys that are holding out for a considerable amount of time.
A lot of money.
Let's say the MLB pitchers and catchers report. Let's say they're reported right now.
Right.
Would you say the vast majority of free agents you would assume would be signed? The best guys, the A-tier guys.
The best.
Not the case. Right now we're sitting in a situation where you have guys like Blake Snell, Cy Young winner, Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, resurgent year for the Cubs, Tim Anderson from our side of town. He won the batting title a couple times. You got Jordan Montgomery without a team right now, Evan Longoria, Will Myers, Michael Brantley. You got guys. You got real guys that don't have teams right now. And it's honestly, I feel like it's kind of an issue. So the situation that's currently going on is supposedly guys want more money than teams are willing to offer them. And they're holding out until teams offer that. There comes a time where supply and demand happens. MLB contracts have been going through the roof, and now there's a situation where you have 10, 15 guys that should be on MLB rosters that aren't in there. At that point, dude, maybe they're asking for too much money, right?
I don't know. The market yields one thing if they think that they're at a certain level, like Matt
Right.
Chapman thinks he's at a certain level. Same thing with Cody Bellinger to go get paid bags. They don't necessarily need to report to any team.
But if you don't get signed, then what?
You just chill. You Anthony Rendon it. That's
Right.
not his life. It's
Oh
just
my
his job.
God. That was the worst quote. I hate that
Anthony
guy.
Rendon deserves a swift kick in the testicles.
It's not what he said, it's the way he said it. Anthony
Yeah,
Rendon said that
Douche.
his family is more important than baseball, which is true. But
Like
he's
Brian Kelly.
he's like, baseball's not a priority to me. And it's just like, why did you say it like that? And it's obviously not. He plays like shit now that he's on the Angels.
Then here, Jagoff, give me 2% of your salary, please.
Well, yeah, he's on the early retirement track, aka signing with the Los Angeles Angels. So good for him,
True.
I suppose. But also he's the worst, and that's not the way you want athletes to talk. Regardless, say it like I guess say what you mean, and he did.
Say it with your chest.
But regardless, Rob Manfred, the man, the myth, the legend that
The
everybody
man who's
loves,
Fred.
he suggested a free agency period like other leagues implement. So you can sign from A to D, or you can't sign until the season starts. I think that's not a bad idea, personally, because
I think now I agree with that. These guys are always going to hold out as long as they
Right.
can. Usually this is a Boris move.
Mhm.
And I would be interested to see if the Blake Snells, Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, Tim Anderson. I know Tim Anderson isn't represented by Boris, but I believe
I think
Blake
he
Snell
might
and
be
Cody
now.
Bellinger are.
Yeah.
Either way, he waits to the very last minute and says, no, this is our number. We're not moving off of it. And then if there's no traction there, then you try and get close.
Yeah.
And then you pull a Chris Bryant and you go sign with the Rockies, and nobody's heard of this guy ever again.
Right, and he sucks. So that's okay. So that's my thought. That's why I like the free agency period, because there's an end to it, and then you can't sign other dudes until the season starts. So you're gonna miss the entire spring training,
Sure.
all that, and that's payback for not signing, I suppose.
Now,
There's no market value, or there's no salary cap, obviously. So you can pay people
no
whatever.
cap.
But
There's
if
no
it
cap with
keeps
that.
if it keeps going up, people keep getting paid. There is an end to it at some point.
Right.
It feels like right now it's like, hey, you're asking for too much money. I know that's what you want. Like, Scott Boras has never been bit in the ass by asking for too much and it never happening. Like, this could go a couple months, man. And if it does, like, I wouldn't blame teams. Like, usually I'm on the sides of players get paid, players get paid, players get paid. We have got... I'm looking at a conducive list right now of at least 25 guys that deserve to be on MLB teams. Like, you think everybody's going to get their macho huge deal when there's 25 guys left still? Like, fuck that.
I'm surprised some of these guys haven't been signed. If you look at the list, guys like Eddie Rosario, like
Yeah.
that guy has been a dog
Yep.
in the MLB for a
But
long time.
he probably wants consistent starter money, and he's probably not going to get that.
Hey, what about AJ Pollock?
No, leave him off.
Come on, AJ Pollock was sold to us as the second coming of fucking Scott Podsednik.
I mean, he was pretty good on the Dodgers, so I don't know, dude. Julio Urias,
He was
another
okay
guy.
on the Dodgers.
He was pretty good. The year before we picked him up. Regardless, I don't know, dude. You're just looking at a whole list.
Yeah,
of dudes
Blake
right
Snell
now.
though.
Blake Snell just won a Cy Young. He
Jordan
should be.
Montgomery isn't signed yet.
Yeah,
Dude,
I know.
Jordan Montgomery isn't signed yet. That's insane to me.
You're
Considering he pitched his ass off in the playoffs.
There's too many guys on this list right now. Jake Odorizzi also isn't signed. Too many guys on this list for everybody to get the contract that they want. I don't know how it's going to get resolved at the end of the day, but it is a situation where you're like, too many guys. Supply has taken over the demand at this point, and something's got to happen with it. And I feel like maybe coming down on some contracts is a good idea, because when there isn't a salary cap stopping that, which, again, I prefer, because I think salary caps are stupid, pay people what they're worth. But that also means that there is a worth, and at some point, that might not be your worth anymore, bud. I don't know what to tell you. Blake Snell, that's rough, but he's probably looking for a long-term deal, and people don't give long-term deals to arms. So, I don't know how it gets fixed, man.
Blake Snell's what, 30 or 32?
He might be younger, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure. Let me check.
Well, in my opinion, you'd want to go
31.
to a team.
Yeah, 31.
Okay, so 31. No, you're not getting a 6-year deal. Maybe try and go get a 4-year deal where you get paid and you can go play for a contender.
New York is the current buzz.
Well, New York just tries to load up and then they
Yeah.
fizzle out at the playoff time.
They got Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Juan Soto was so great on the Padres, they couldn't wait to get rid of him.
I mean, the only team he hasn't been good on is the Padres, if we're being, he was amazing on the Nationals.
He's been on 2 fucking teams.
Yeah, and he was amazing on the
50%
Nationals.
of that has been dog shit.
No,
So
more like
considering
10% of his entire career.
Whatever.
Half a
The
season.
only thing I'm getting at is like, dude, there needs to be something here that I don't know. These guys, I just think need to lower their expectations. Blake Snell will go to contender. Now, I think Cody Bellinger winds up back in Chicago.
I do
There's no
too.
doubt about
At this
it.
point, I do
I
too.
think Jed Hoyer just calling the bluff. He's like, hey, we'll be patient. Whatever works.
Yep.
And however that looks, it looks.
I think all the owners are like, hey, let's stop getting boat raced by these assholes and just stay doing number.
It's
and
like
don't
we're
go
just
over
not paying. We'll stick to our number. Here's our number. If you're willing to sign, we'd love to have you.
Go
Thank you.
play
Have
in
a great
Japan
night.
or some shit if they want to pay you that much. Like that's
Yeah,
what we're looking
go
at right
play it for the Sakura.
now. Right. Because at
Go
the end
play
of the
for
day,
Sakura.
I don't know. Like, there's always the conversations. Like, if the guy's good enough, then he's got all the marketing chips in his favor.
I hope Trevor Bauer gets a shot.
I kind
I
of
don't
do
think
too, man. After all the shit that's come out and stuff, I'm kind of like, just put him back in there. Like, Marcell Ozuna's still playing baseball, and he's a huge piece of shit. And it seems like Trevor Bauer didn't do anything, if everything is true that's been said.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I believe it.
To prove it.
I believe it too, but, regardless, he deserves to be in the MLB as well. And I don't think he's looking for Blake Snell money. So that's that on that. I think that the MLB needs to figure this problem out. Maybe add a free
Where's
agency
Timmy
period.
going? Where's Timmy going?
Angels. Early
You
retirement.
think so?
Early retirement.
I think Tampa might be a spot for him.
Could be, but they're not going to pay more than the Sox would.
No. But
So-
they'll pay what the Sox would. I'm surprised he didn't get like a deal with like the Reds or like a team that's desperate.
Yeah,
Just wants a face.
I could see it. That's the thing too. There's a lot of good young shortstops in the league right now. And if he has a year like he had last
true.
year, if he has issues like he had last year, then some teams are probably like, stay away from that. So it depends on what people think. But I still think he's going to have a great year this year. I think he's going to have a good bounce back, and I wish he was a White Sox, but at the end of the day, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I think he's just become a locker room cancer.
Yeah, which
Banging
sucks.
everything that moves, having numerous children.
Well, one with a different lady. That's the
She
thing.
was a nice lady.
Yeah. But
way.
it's that became a distraction amongst other things. There was so many things about the White Sox locker room that
He
got
just
leaked out
was
that was
not
bad.
himself last year. And
Right.
Anybody who signs him, I think he's going to get a 1-year deal, prove it year.
And I think he'll probably prove it. And I think so. And I'm rooting
think he
for him
will?
I'm rooting for him at the end of the day. I hope he's good.
We'll see. We'll see. Matt Chapman would be a great addition on the White Sox, but that'll
Yep.
never happen.
We're not signing anybody else. This is our team now. Mike Soroka or die.
Who's Mike Soroka?
He's the starting pitcher for the White Sox this year, bud. You better
Oh,
start
boy.
doing your research. He
Oh,
came from
boy.
he came from the Braves. He had a decent year. He had a really bad year. It's that's what we're looking at. And then we got a couple guys that one of the dudes, and I forgot his name, went to Japan or went to Korea because he couldn't get signed to a team, and then he played well there, and then he came back, and now he's on the White Sox. So we're gonna be so good
course
this
he
year.
is.
We're gonna be so good this year.
Find the value in the lowest places possible.
Yeah, it's
Brandon
money,
Crawford.
It's money
I could
ball,
see-
but no money.
I could see Brandon Crawford potentially becoming
Yeah.
a White Sox or Brandon Belt.
If you just take the current list of free agents and you put all-stars above 2 and age above 35, we'll sign all of them. And none of them will
And
be
then
able
we'll
to do anything.
spin it off like, look at what we did.
Right. And then you go previous team and you say Royals, then you double down on that shit.
Mike Moustakas,
It's
White
a shame.
Sox.
It's a shame that Eric Hosmer retired today because he would be a great
Nicky
White
Lopez,
Sox.
White Sox.
Immediately. Chris Getz, White
Come on.
Sox. Remember him? I can't
Just
do
saying.
this. Bring us Salvi Perez. Can't do this anymore.
Bring us an outfielder. Oh, did you hear that Eloy Jimenez said he's going to play 150 games this year?
Yeah, I have dreams too, bud. It is what it is.
On what legs exactly? This motherfucker farts and tears his back ass.
He runs like a baby deer, man. I don't know.
He
We'll
does.
We'll see how.
He does.
I mean,
He can't. He's afraid to stretch a single into a double.
'cause he
How
doesn't
in the
wanna
fuck
run.
are you going to play 150 games? Okay, over
I want
under.
him to, but I don't think he's going to.
Over under. Eloy Jimenez plays 60 games.
Over.
Over.
Yeah, but not a lot over. I'll give him half a season, directly in half.
Huh.
81.
All right.
81.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see where we take it. Let's see where we take it. The White Sox buckle up. I'm going to be in full effect. I'll report live.
Let's go.
I'm going to be reporting live on Monday.
Good.
See if I can catch up with TLR, my boy Tony. We're friends now. That's my guy.
Boy.
We're going to go drive drunk together and just see what happens.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I was explaining to my wife that I was like, he got like 2 DUIs in like 6 months. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah. And he was living out here. And she goes, no way. I said, yeah. Here, look.
And then the White Sox hired him.
They're like, 2 Deweys deep? You have
We like
drunk
that.
Get in here.
We like that.
We like that a
Mess.
lot.
What a mess.
Just sell the team, Jerry. Just sell the team. If you were hearing this, sell the team to somebody who fucking cares, please.
Goddamn agree.
Because you clearly don't. But we're back into baseball, people, and we hope you enjoy it so much. It's baseball season. It's that time to get excited. It's that time to get ready for it. Right?
Right.
I mean, we're doing that. We're having former MLB pitchers on the show.
Yeah.
Guy who
Thanks
used to
again. I
throw
love you.
fucking
Thanks.
Lightning. Thank you so much, Ian. We appreciate you. That won't be the last of that guy, by the way. He's
No
coming
shot.
back.
No shot.
Not a chance. But with all that, we appreciate you stopping in today. I feel like Mr. Rogers. Thanks for stopping by. And with all of that, you know the drill. We're on every major platform that you get your podcast. We're on every platform that you listen to content, okay, including the YouTubes. So if you want to see these faces on the YouTubes, you should go subscribe and maybe leave a comment. Tell us why we're fucking stupid.
Comment, download, please.
Hammer that download button for us because that just lets us know you're listening, and we appreciate that. And then, as always, share it to your siblings.
Do it.
You got a brother.
Do it.
You got a sister. Maybe you got a half sister. Maybe you got a half brother. Maybe they're into the sports talk too. Share it with them because I'm sure they'd get a chuckle out of it. And not only that, I'm sure they'd enjoy having time with the boys.
Yeah.
So as always, we will see you next week. Peace.